All right, here we go. Just under a minute until the live draft takes place here. Jake and I, as we've talked about many times now, are going to be doing the NFFC Online Championship. $15,000 to first place. You have to finish first among all the other competitors in there, but we are going to be in a standard 12-team league. We'll have the draft board going live. We're going to be showcasing our auction tools as well from the RotoWire software and app perspective too. So Jake and I have talked a little, very little bit of strategy. This is also going to be a precursor, at least, to the RotoWire Stake League, which will be happening next week. The the Monday. Gotta get our dates right, Jake. Our Monday RotoWire podcast next week. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, RotoWire Fantasy Football will be discussing auction strategies too. So I really think this is like a perfect dipping of the toes into everything and getting things started. So we do have a first nomination on the board. We got Jamar Chase going out there. I think, well, at least it seems like everything's working right now. Yeah. At least ours is a little bit slow, but we're good to go at 56. So
yeah, so what I have, and I'll tweet
underway.
the link as well, is the public auction board. I'm going to toggle between that, some NFFC ADP, and then some RotoWire tools here. So RotoWire puts Chase right around 67. I already pre-entered the NFFC unique rules, those being full PPR, 3 wide receivers, 6 points for quarterbacks, touchdowns, and ready to get going here with Chase. We talk about this in our strategies, that sometimes there's value with these early nominations, so I'm going to kind of let you take it away.
So we had, I think Chase went for 58, which makes sense right now. Jefferson off the board. It's about like a 10-second, or Jefferson's on the board being nominated, about 10 seconds per bid up. So you think about what happens, Jamar Chase being 1-1 typically in redraft. What is Justin Jefferson in terms of value end up being? I'm pushing it up just a little bit. If we end up with Justin Jefferson at 48, I feel okay about that price, and I think we'll probably end up landing it. Oh, okay, so there you go. I don't know. Are you comfortable ending it here at 49? I guess.
I mean, I would be willing to go to 50.
We're gonna have to practice this, Jake. We got into rhythm before. Did not end up last time we did this. We did this draft one point last year. It was a lot of fun going over it. I ended up stopping there at that point at 48. So right now, Bijan Robinson is also up on nomination too. I think what'll be better, at least from this visual, Jake, will be actually getting to watch the. I don't know. I don't want to watch.
So this is only going to show as the picks come off. It doesn't necessarily show who's in the draft room at the time. So if you want to screen share, you can go for it. It's just going to be, it'll be a little tough to do that.
Yeah, and I want to be courteous of the people in the league too. Often we don't want to necessarily reveal the names of the people drafting. At least that's been something that RotoWire I think has done a really good job over the years of doing. Bijan Robinson goes for 51. So Jamar Chase 58, Bijan 51, Jefferson 49, and then Lamb now on the board at 30 at the moment. I'll get in on the action at least a little bit, although I imagine
absolutely everyone so far has gone under the projected RotoWire auction values, and I can explain that to some degree here, at least in our staff expert leagues and a lot of big leagues that we do. There's a lot more money flooded to the very top tier of the talent pool, which leaves you a ton of values in the middle of the draft here. It's looking so far like this draft might be a little more evenly distributed, I guess you could say.
Which makes sense. This is probably one of the sharpest drafts that you could possibly get out there too. I've seen a few people in the chat as well mentioning. We'll get to all that in a little bit here, but I'm not surprised. Like when we talk about the leveling out of the process for it and what that would mean for other auction drafts. Well, we'll discuss the strategy part of things right now. Travion Henderson on the board. It's the first to deviate from the top four. So Jamar Chase won for 58, then Jefferson 49, Bijan 51, Lamb 49. That's prototypically your first 4 or 5 selections, throwing in Saquon Barkley at some point. What happens now with this next tier is going to be really interesting to me. So Travion Henderson at 19. I had made the argument, you and I had this conversation on Monday. I'm more in on Travion Henderson than I have been. This is a full point PPR format, and yet at 21 right now, I don't know. I mean, this sets the table in my mind of other running backs.
To 30, so I could see going up to 22 or 23 if you wanted to and capping it there.
I ended up not being aggressive.
Him at his highest price too, as well.
Yeah, I ended up letting it more or less go. I didn't end up being aggressive there, but in my opinion, given this is a player I don't necessarily want, this sets the price tag for what everything else might look like. So I think that's really crucial to now look at the ADP of the NFFC, what the RotoWire software will say too, and say, okay, Trayvon Henderson at 21, what makes a difference? So Christian McCaffrey, we have not discussed this one, Jake. Do you want in on Christian McCaffrey this year in a full point PPR format? Because in the NFFC, he's typically going like now at this point 6 or 7 overall.
Yeah, I absolutely want in on Christian McCaffrey. I'd be well within that 39 to 47 range. Maybe we can grab him. Again, it's full PPR. We can get a foundational back. I think his price is depressed a little bit because of the injury season. Maybe he's got that injury prone label, but we all know what he can do in a full season healthy, and it's a core foundational player here. So what are we looking at? Are we up past 40 yet?
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It went to 43. I feel a little bit nervous about going that high for a McCaffrey, and maybe I shouldn't. I mean, we'll be aggressive here at some point.
Right in the middle of his ADP. So these guys are going at cost at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. There's probably a point to be aggressive with some of them, but I ended up just kind of saying, I don't know if I want to go that direction. So Drake London up next. This was our nomination, trying to get some money out of the board there at the moment. I don't necessarily know what the preferred value is or target of London necessarily, but we'll see here at 45 going down. We did end up getting Drake London at 45. So $2 more than McCaffrey. McCaffrey often goes ahead of Drake London in ADP, but again, I'm not super excited about getting McCaffrey, so maybe I overspent a little bit, Jake.
Yeah, you said 47 here for Drake London?
I think 45 for Drake London. 45.
Okay, and someone's taking the Chargers kicker already. 45?
Yeah, but the kicker one's happening.
Yeah, 45 is right in the middle of his range, so it's not like we overspent by any means, so I can live with that.
Okay. All right. Well, here, I want to make sure I get the tweet out for our draft, Jake,
if you want
to kind of talk about things.
I got distracted, of course. I'm on it right now.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about the software itself?
Oh, just the tweet for repping the NFFC and what we're doing here.
Yeah. That's where I'm trying to get at least out.
All right, so I just posted mine here, and then I'll comment underneath with the public draft board if people want to follow.
Good call,
here.
Yeah.
So I'm at RotoJake. Go ahead and find me there, and then I should have the links you need to follow along here. So I'm going to add that right now.
Good call. And then obviously, thanks everyone for listening along as well too on the RotoWire Fantasy Football YouTube channel as well. Let's see. So we have Jaden Daniels now at 16 is going to be really interesting. 4 points per passing touchdown. This in my mind sets the value point for other quarterbacks as well. Jaden Daniels typically third or fourth, and I think 16 is good. I don't necessarily like to be the trendsetter among these receivers, but I think it's important to see a certain trendsetter among these positions doesn't be a receiver. So we let McCaffrey go, we let Henderson go, we let Jaden Daniels go as like an established part. So Chuba Hubbard at $12 right now, will at least pitter patter around in this at the moment. And again, you could see the RotoWire software, what the auction draft stuff will be for this. And then also Jake will be updating that live. And then the draft board itself, either on Jake's Twitter at RotoJake or mine as well too, looking over that. So Chuba at 18, Trayvon Henderson, I think, was 22. I think I would normally have Chuba Hubbard over Travion. Where are you at with this one as we see?
Yeah, I could run Chuba it up to 19 or 20, but it's not someone I'm in love with. It's more or less a somewhat decent value there. So I mean, that was a pretty decent buy, I'd say, for Team 10, who's now on the board.
All right. That's good to know. Okay. Do you want to try to answer Jay Red's question real quick as we're kind of meandering through this at the moment? Hold on. Do we want your guy Joe Burrow? So Jaden Daniels goes for 60 and Burrow's on the clock right now.
Let me see here. I mean, I could be down for Burrow here. We're not getting the rushing points, but if he goes for 11 or 12, I'm in. If he goes right around the roto value,
I mean, what we said, this is 6 points per passing touchdown. So I ended up taking it to 17. I think he's more valuable than Jaden Daniels.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not gonna be mad about that. Joe Burrow has won me tons of leagues, tons of money last year. Very happy with that. Yeah, maybe the ceiling's limited by the rushing here, but that defense is set to be horrific again, and I would be right back in here on Joe Burrow.
Omarion Hampton's a guy we've talked about a lot. There was a recent news item. Omarion Hampton at 21, Jake. What do we think right now at this? So in this range of Travion Henderson, I think this is a buy to me if we get him close in that Travion price tag.
100%. If he's anywhere near Travion Henderson, go get it.
All right.
22 to 33. I mean, if you can get him for 25, 26, absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know. We got people in the chat also watching the draft. I actually, David's awesome. Been a longtime follower for us too, and I don't think he's going to be using the information against us at all. So I'm totally fine. But we'll have people.
It's tough to do this. Did Hampton go to? Nope. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we did not end up
all
getting
rookie
Hampton.
team number 1 so far. Travion Henderson, Omarion Hampton here. I guess I'll take a stab at Jay's question here because that's what we want to help with. Joe, you can focus on the bids here.
Mhm.
But it looks like Jay is keeping Trace Brown for a 9th round pick, and then he picks at 1.10, and he's wondering if he goes after Derrick Henry or A-Chain. Just because of the fact that it's full PPR and because of the fact that it's a keeper league, I think I'm running A-Chain in Jay's situation. So good luck with that, and hope it works out for you, Jay. Thanks for commenting.
All right, Jahmyr Gibbs goes for 49, Hampton for 26, like you mentioned, the all-rookie team. Jahmyr Gibbs at 49, I pushed up a little bit. That's Jefferson price range. That's Jamar Chase. That's Bijan. So everyone's more or less price enforcing to a certain degree to get them up there. But the bids are coming in as well, too, very quickly. I would imagine with the $200 budget now, Saquon Barkley being nominated at the moment, that you're going to see more or less people keep things within the range of, say, smart draft and a smart drafting group just overall. But Barkley at 45, McCaffrey seems like a better deal at this point at 43. I don't know.
Gibbs is 49 and Bijan was 51, so I could go up to 46.
Would you want to commit to that level of running backs? I don't really want to. I think that's where I'd go back to this when building a roster. Again, for everyone, 2 running backs starting, 3 receivers, flex, 10 roster spots from a depth perspective. I didn't know if going after running back that high is a choice that you typically make.
Well, Team 11 has clearly made that choice. They have Jahmyr Gibbs at 49 and Saquon Barkley at 46. So very interesting. I think if you're a Barkley believer, that would have been a good price here. But I think in the overall strategy that we have in our team composition, we're probably going to go maybe some of those mid-range backs and load up on them later on because there are a lot of reserves in this league. We're going to have options to take a lot of stabs.
Yeah, and now Devon A-Chain off the board at 40. I don't want to go anywhere near that. And again, if that's McCaffrey, seems like it's going to be the better deal if that's the case at 43. Devon A-Chain at 40. Saquon Barkley at 46. We paid probably about $2 or $3 more than we should have for Drake London. That we also were in a battle with David, who is a listener for us, obviously knows I love Drake London as well. Maybe that plays a factor in it, but it also could be that he listens to RotoWire and therefore also loves Drake London too. And why would you not? So Ashton Jeanty now being up on the nomination portal as well. And this will probably be a heavier one since it's a little bit slower bids as well too.
And we're starting to creep towards the last of a tier here. After Ashton Jeanty, we're looking at Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving here. The top running backs, as you can see, are all pretty much off the board with on this end here with Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley. So I'm just curious, where's Jeanty at right now?
36. We could bump up one more. Do you want to?
Sure.
All right. So, what's your end point for Jeanty with this?
38.
38.
36 would be the lowest he's gone in an NFFC auction so far. I'm not the biggest Jeanty fan, but
so if A-Chan's 40,
point where you have to recognize value.
If A-Chan's 40, that's where I'm at as well too. Jeanty is objectively being drafted higher, and I think we'll get more volume than A-Chan. So we get Jeanty at 38. Actually, really happy with that. Other than the Burrow buy at 17, which I have a feeling won't end up looking all that bad, but we'll find out because I'm going to get every quarterback off the board as soon as I can. Nomination.
Yeah, I was going to say we can start with our nomination strategy, going after sending the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all those guys into the queue. Let other teams drain their budget a little bit here. Wow, I'm actually pretty impressed with the Jeanty buy. That actually levels out, I think, the overspend on London.
Yeah, well, it's probably an overspend on Burrow, but maybe not too much. I don't know. What was so Allen is now at $19 again. Jaden Daniels at 16. That's where I was like, okay, if Burrow for 17, you would conventionally think Josh Allen's better, but I don't know if it's that much better in the 6 points per passing touchdown.
So I looked at a lot of the big sites in the industry just to get a general range. Some of them, even without the 6 point passing touchdowns, are really high on quarterback. Like we only have Allen at 13 because I think our general RotoWire recommendation is to wait on quarterback. But I've seen Allen as high as $30 to $32 in just baseline leagues. So it shows how arbitrary sometimes that these auction values be. You need to recognize the room here and see see what it takes. In this case, taking what the room gives you, and I think we did that with Genty.
Rashee Rice, an interesting one. I was at the Fantasy Football Expo over the course of the weekend in Canton, Ohio. We had our guy Jim Coventry do the 14-team auction draft, which had multiple flex people starting. Rashee Rice ended up going for, I think it was $12 or $13 at the time to Jim, which I thought was a tremendous value.
Yeah,
Rashee Rice now
under 15 is a home run.
Yeah, Rashee Rice now at 21. I was in on this one, and I don't. There are multiple roster spots. You have 10 bench spots in addition to the 10, I think 10 starters. So like you can hide that a little bit. At 21 for Rashee Rice is probably a value, but I'm still expecting somewhere in the 6 to 8 range in terms of how many games he gets suspended. And I really think, especially in the NFFC, it's super important to have a week 1 and 2 roster ready because you are not playing against an opponent. You're playing top 6 most points scored gets a win, bottom 6 gets a loss. And while there are point total stuff that affect how you finish in the standings, getting a win over 6 people just in terms of like finishing that scoring system, I think is actually really crucial so that you won't have Rashee Rice theoretically is a bigger deal. So Trey McBride at 25 right now. I don't know. We didn't even talk about Brock Bowers strategy wise entering this. What are your thoughts with Bowers?
Yeah, just looking at I got the wrong league up there for a second. My bad. Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, we both price out at 36. I could see going mid to late 20s on someone like Bowers. I would have no problem with that and getting that position set. But eventually it's going to, eventually that's going to cost us if we keep spending like this. 29 to 35 is officially the kind of average range in the NFFC for Bowers. Did he get to past 30 yet?
So I had Bowers first because McBride ended up going off the board. And I was curious what that set. So McBride goes for 26. I would imagine that means Bowers is close to a $30 range. But one of those that I think will be interesting to sort of follow. So Chase Brown at 34, at 35. That was a back end turn for Jim Coventry in the in the redraft league that they did at the Fantasy Football Expo. He ended up going Josh Jacobs and Chase Brown 14, 15, given the run at running backs. Now Chase Brown at $40, so $2 more than Genty. It's very clear, Jake, that people care about the preseason and not looking all that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might have this might be a case of where timing the draft is great here because Genty, of course, came out, had 3 runs basically for no gain. We all knew that the offensive line situation was going to be tough in general, but yeah, he's going to be better than that, right?
Right.
That worries me a little bit. And I was honestly, I've been a little bit out on Genty until today, but that's the beauty of salary cap drafts. Every once in a while, you find some value here, and it's starting to look like a great buy because, like I said, we're creeping up on the back of this tier, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that don't have a single running back yet, and they're going to end up in some kind of bidding war for a Bucky Irving or a Kyron Williams or a Jonathan Taylor. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. We at least have what should be a foundational back here. Do you want to go ahead and read Jay's question?
Yeah, so Jay asks, so how does this overall auction draft work? Do you just bid on players you want and the highest bid then wins? How much do you guys have? So I'll start out by saying we start with $200 in this, but Jake will kind of let you sort of answer the question itself, describing what the salary cap or auction format is and sort of how that ends up working.
So you start with the $200 budget, and your draft order is really a nomination order in this context here. The first player nominates a team. There's definitely some a player. There's definitely some strategy to that. Do you want to get people's money off the board with players you don't love, or do you want to try to get your targets early? And then, you take turn nominating teams, and then everybody bids on the player, and the winning bid gets the player. And remember, so we only have a $200 budget here. So it's halfway gone through 3 players, which is not uncommon. Some of these other teams have it halfway gone through 2 players here that have gone pretty heavy. Malik Neighbors just off the board for 45. So there's a lot of different ways to go about this. It is the superior format to play fantasy football here, because if you want someone, if you have your target, you can go out and get them. And of course, a lot more strategy involved here. When do you want to price in force? All these types of things, and the nomination strategy. But it's definitely worth trying out if it's a format you haven't used before. It'll be intimidating at first, but you definitely will grow to love it.
So 6 points per passing touchdown. Yeah, Josh Allen, I believe, at 20 or 19, Lamar at 19, Jaden Daniels at 16, and then we got Burrow at 17. Do you have, I mean, like, do you think that they're more or less all the same? Would you dramatically evaluate Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson over a Burrow? Again, it's a $2 difference. $2 at the dollar days portion does matter, but I don't know what your thoughts are with the quarterback rankings, at least the hierarchy at the top.
Yeah, I mean, in the 6 points per passing touchdown, I think that bumps Burrow arguably into that top tier. Everyone else that's off the
Mhm.
board, Allen, Daniels, Jackson, is there for their rushing yards. And Burrow's not very mobile. We know that, but he could once again easily throw for 5,000 yards and lead the league in touchdown passes with the weapons that he has and the defense that he doesn't have. So that's kind of in this format, someone like Burrow gets jumped up a little bit.
So we had Bucky Irving go for 42 again. We got Genty at 38, Chase Brown for 40. So that was exactly, and this is going to end up being a perfect case for our show again on Monday. Anywhere you listen to the Fantasy Football Podcast, next week we're doing auction draft strategy and talking about tiers because we literally saw this exact thing play out where Genty being conventionally drafted way ahead of these players ends up going for Bucky Irving ends up going more than Ashton Genty by a considerable margin given the ADP difference of the two right now.
And I would love to go after Josh Jacobs again when he comes up on the board, but I think we're going to see teams 2, 6, and 9 in some kind of a bidding war for this. Maybe not 9 because they already spent the great majority of their budget on Chase and Lamb. But yeah,
and there you go. Derrick Henry goes for
the last
42.
of that tier here.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry, there someone got a running back 42. Not a bad price relative to his ADP, but in full PPR, Henry does get a little bit of a knock.
So you'll see some people, especially with the kickers and defenses, just throw it out there. Not even so much that they want to target those guys necessarily, but that it does allow you to have a higher like a full total nomination that you can, because you're going to spend $1 on a kicker and defense or wherever else, allows you later in the draft to go ahead and be able to do that. So
yeah, if you want to throw out Younghoe Koo for $1 at some point, like I'm not going to.
I tossed out the last of the quarterback tier, Jalen Hurts here at $12. We can't really get involved, so I imagine that this is going to be the one circumstance where a really big bargain ends up happening at the quarterback position. In this case, Jalen Hurts goes for 12, Jaden Daniels for 16, Burrow for 17. You're wowing, and rightfully so. $4 is a big deal, especially in the auction draft format, but that is what happens specifically at the quarterback position, because you'll see some people say, I don't want to spend any money at all at quarterback, no matter the value. And then you'll have 4 or 5 people at that point take the quarterback off the board. So mark this down, Jake, because this is exactly what I want to talk about on the show. This year in particular, given that there is basically a 5-sum of quarterbacks, especially in this format, really 4 if you don't want to include Burrow, if you are the last to get that quarterback group, you end up getting a tremendous value because people have kind of decided already they won't spend X amount of money at that position.
Yeah, and that appears to exactly be what happened. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, I would trade $17 Burrow for $12 Hurts and keep that $5 to work on our depth here. But we're gonna get through it.
Puka Nacua goes for 39. That's $6 less than Drake London, who we end up having on our team. Obviously not ideal. Malik Neighbors also 45. If you look at the ADP of those two, Neighbors typically goes ahead of London. Although I wonder if the recent toe injuries or consistent toe stuff going on would change that at all. But now Bowers is on the board. We talked about, I think you said the high point for Bowers was in the 32 range for the NFFC, right?
The high point for Bowers in the NFFC was a little higher than that. I think he got up to 35. 32 is just the average, and it looks like
okay. And he goes right for that average there at 32. Trey McBride at 25 or 26. So one of those that I definitely wasn't going to end up really touching at all. Didn't really have any interest in doing so. With the spend up that we did at quarterback, I mean, that's basically what you're committing to. If you want to go ahead and get a higher end quarterback like Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels, you typically don't allow yourself to go ahead and get a tight end as well, or you're just really comfortable getting value at the wide receiver 3 or at the running back 2. So we'll have to kind of see how that sort of all unfolds. But getting involved here on Josh Jacobs, who just came on the board at the moment. I'm very comfortable being aggressive with this one, as it seems like the rest of the board is as well too. So we'll kind of go, like, what was there a stopping point in your mind for Josh Jacobs?
I mean, I don't know. 40, 38 again?
Yeah, I ended up stopping at 37. So, but we ended up, we pushed that up $6 more.
A little bit, yeah.
Say that again?
We'd cripple ourselves if we went too much higher than that. So I understand.
Yeah, that
What, 29 to 35, and you said you stopped at 37?
Yep, at 37.
Yeah, so this will be one of the highest he went and in the NFFC, and this is it's honestly due to the composition here. You find bidding wars for the last of a tier.
Yeah, still on the board yet at running back Jonathan Taylor, Brees Hall, Kyron Williams. I think that arguably is still an end of the tier too. Brian
Yes.
Thomas at 39, at 40. Like I mean, I would like to get involved in that a little bit, but I have a feeling that we're going to be kind of pushed out of that. I don't know. I mean, like you could make a really interesting lineup if you. We'll wait until now. Brian Thomas at 45, so that's above that Malik Neighbors and Drake London price tag. So that's okay. There's been some thought for me, at least in this NFFC format, where I think you can get a lot of these guys for a buck or two is the stars and scrubs and kind of committing to that. But at $48 for Brian Thomas is pretty insane. So that is literally right in the same price range as Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase went for 58, but Bijan 51. So there you go. Brian Thomas at $48 is pretty ginormous.
It's like Team 1 has an appointment. They're spending quickly. Whereas Team 2 has bought a kicker and nothing else.
You guys could see just the Team 1's team. I am well familiar who Team 1 is. Awesome fantasy player. Been in a bunch of our different drafts before. We actually have a really stacked. I don't want to like intimidate you, Jake, but we have a pretty stacked group here. Far more than we did at least last year of like well known names. So I'm kind of excited to see how the strategies end up working out for a lot of people. And again, thank you everyone for tuning into the RotoWire Fantasy Football YouTube channel, either of our social medias as well too. I know that on the draft itself, the admin also posted a link to our YouTube channel for us live streaming this too. So it'll be a lot of fun to kind of watch. See what the other really smart people end up doing strategy wise, and we are going to end up seeing, I think, team number 2 make their first buy. Kyron Williams at 31 was who they nominated, and then pushed it up one more dollar. It was at 30. They end up getting Kyron Williams at 31. I think that's going to end up being a pretty good value.
I would take that for 32, even with our running back situation.
Yeah. So this is the challenge of when we're sharing a league together like this. I always don't want to be the guy that just messes us over for content purposes. And now we have $10 for the next 2 hours talking. I don't want to do that. So
yeah, no, that's understandable. That's why you're in the driver's seat. That is why you're in the driver's seat.
It's like I don't want to like put us in a bad spot. But I also thought it too. That I was like, I think if this was me in the RotoWire Stake League, I would have been happy to go ahead and do that. I would have been fine with Kyron Williams for 31. Interesting note, Tyler Warren, I think is tight end 3, 4 maybe out of this overall, ends up going for $6. And I think this is a really good setting of the appropriate tier of that range, and that's typically tight end 8 through 12. That will allow us to be a little bit cheeky, Jake, if we want to wait at the tight end position as to here's how we're going to end up spending money on it. So I'm very curious to know what the rest of the tight end position looks like.
I think a Monroe for 41 is a very good buy too.
I thought about that. And I don't know. The question ends up being in this construction where, again, it's starting 2 running backs, 3 receivers. Would you rather have, let's just say from a percentage standpoint, 60% invested in your running backs, or do you want to have that in your first 2 receivers? Because that probably is the better answer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the right.
Maybe haunted a bit by Drake London. We'll see.
I like Drake London. We had to go get our guy. Jake, that's all it was.
That is also the beauty of auctions. You can go get your guy.
Yeah, I didn't think people would be on him to that degree. And maybe there was some price enforcing for as well too. I'm not sure, but yeah, that you're right. Maybe there's a bit of a haunting for that as well. Yeah. St. Brown. We have seen I got St. Brown in the back end of my first back into the second round in my NFFC draft. He fell all the way to 217. So like the 4th pick into the second round. Like that's not that crazy to go ahead and see. So that he ended up going a few bucks lower than Drake London. I'm not upset about that. I'll go that way. So Alvin Kamara at 21. I think Trayvon Henderson was around that. Trayvon Henderson might have been a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, Henderson was 21 as well.
Okay, so that's good to know that that's sort of what the tier.
Move this up a little bit. I know it's kind of there. We go. It's a little compact for our viewers here at home.
All right, so I pushed out T.J. Hawkinson, thinking that I might want to go ahead and get him. I thought the Tyler Warren price tag would allow us to sneak Hawkinson in a little bit cheaper. Ends up going for $9. So maybe that was the the example of going opposite, like you want your guy, and doesn't end up working out quite the same way. But we have George Kittle right now at $19. I'm staying out of that one.
Whoa.
You want George Kittle or?
No. That seems like a lot for Kittle.
Oh, so you would be you and I are in agreement with this, but the rest of the RotoWire colleagues all together would be Jeff Erickson, Nick Whalen, Mario Puig, John McKechnie. Everyone loves George Kittle. And now with all the injuries in San Francisco to the receiving core, that George Kittle is $25, almost same price as Trey McBride. Sounds incorrect, but there's a lot of really smart people that like George Kittle too. I will not be one of them. I thought, okay, if he ends up going for 15, we'll go ahead and get my one final share of George Kittle. Will not go ahead and do that in this case. So he finishes with $25 on that one.
Yeah. Whew. All right. Well, that'll give us some room to grab other tight ends in that tier, perhaps. I was looking at that a little bit right now. I'm always cool with the regular names here. If we get a steal on Laporta, Kelsey, or even Mandrews, like we'll have it. But anyone that's been watching us, our shows and our mock draft Mondays lately, kind of knows some of the names that we might have in mind here.
Yep, exactly. And I think those will be at least a little bit cheaper. So Nico Collins now at $46. This is the end of that receiver tier. Left right now is Lab McConkey.
We don't have AJ Brown yet, do we?
Yeah, and AJ Brown is priced, at least on the software, at 33. Lab McConkey's 38. Nico is like 40. So that would be from the NFFC's perspective, the end of the tier. But I agree with you. I think AJ Brown does end up going there. Now Garrett Wilson, next receiver off the board. And by default, I think everyone except for one player is under or at or close to $100.
Who's Garrett Wilson at right now?
He is literally up for nomination at 16 at the moment. I think we are going to see receivers now kind of tail off a little bit price tag wise with the money that has been spent.
So you want to wait for this? Because I think anything under 30 for Garrett Wilson would be pristine.
Yes, I am in on that one right now. We have it at 27. I would imagine that people end up going at least one-upping us a little bit. Yeah, there's 28. Well, and we'll get the guy that has the money right now to spend a little bit more, or we take Garrett Wilson at 29. But I'm very comfortable with what that looks like for us. And that was about where his NFFC. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to go higher than 30? I think we stay. We don't go anymore.
Yeah, we can stay put. I just wanted to price and force a little bit, make sure we
that was the person with the most amount of money left ends up getting Garrett Wilson. So if you have, I don't know, if I'm having to click back and forth. So that team is Kyron Williams and Garrett Wilson that ends up getting it. I think it was team 2 or no. Yeah, it was team 2.
Team 2.
And Hawkinson as well too. Okay, all right. Well, I mean that's frustrating because I like that group especially, and that might be like the good team to go ahead and do, but yeah. I don't know. Tyreek Hill is now on the board. Where are you at with Tyreek Hill? Do you want anything to do with Tyreek Hill?
Not super. I mean, he would have to be right around this 23, right around this low end for me to be interested in.
That's good because, I mean, 26 is, I think, arguably a good price tag for him, but I am very nervous. And I also have him in my Beat Joe Bartel Online Championship League, and I really, really don't want to have multiple shares of Tyreek Hill. So thank you for being okay with not getting him because I was not there. Breece Hall now out there, and this is going to take a little bit of time, Jake. So what's your number looking at with Breece Hall again? Kyron Williams, I think. What was Kyron Williams' number again? It's about the same ADP range.
Kyron Williams is 24 to 32. Breece Hall is 22 to 30. If we're looking on RotoWire values, Kyron Williams a little higher because we push running backs up, and Breece Hall 37. Anywhere around 30 for either, I think I would be in there. If you get them less than 30, I'd say push the button.
All right. Well, we'll see what ends up happening here with Breece Hall. I'm not a huge fan of getting him, and I think there's other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm wondering what the backup plan is. Is it this man right here?
It would be, I can't even look at your screen when you say that, but yes, sorry, I think that would be
Jonathan Taylor, if you can.
Yeah, that is who. I mean, he's technically on there. So Breece Hall goes for 24, Tyreek for 26. We are very much in the range of secondary prices on these players. So I'm very curious to know what this ends up looking like now. So AJ Brown up next. We'll get involved in this, at least a price enforcing aspect for AJ Brown.
I think Breece Hall for 24 is a hell of a buy.
We'll see what ends up being left with other running backs as well too, because I think that there's not a lot of money going overall that we can kind of be a bit more of players, and I think I really like that, getting Drake London for 32 as well. So I don't know. Again, if you're saying St. Brown,
Oh, you got AJ Brown for 32? Oh, you
yes,
said
we
Drake
did.
London for 32. I'm like, what
No,
are
no,
we
no. I was
talking?
saying Drake London. That they're basic. So right now, AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown are being drafted pretty close to one another. St. Brown's fallen to the back end of the first round, early second, and AJ Brown's conventionally the next one after that.
Mhm.
I definitely think that's a fantastic. Like, if there's $8 difference, that's a win for us. I will gladly take AJ Brown at that price tag as well.
Yeah,
So
and for me, if you do average per player on Drake London and AJ Brown, that ends up being right around 38, 39.
yeah,
Um,
true.
I try to look at it that way.
Yeah,
Laporta for 11. I'm fine with letting that one go.
we can't. Yeah, we just can't go that route. I mean, like, so that was only $2 more than Hawkinson, or $1 possibly. I mean, that's tough, but I'm okay if we don't end up having to have an elite tight end. I think that's actually absolutely fine in my mind. So, Jonnu Smith will be very interesting now. He's at
Yep.
$3, conventionally being drafted as like tight end 15, 16, a little bit later. I think it's the Pittsburgh offense. He's going to be involved. Maybe not to the degree he was last year, but that's okay. But at $3, that sets the tone for what the tight end position will look like at. I think we'll end up getting a couple of tight ends that will be like $8 combined. Like, if it's three tight ends for $8, that's sort of how I see this.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's kind of a sacrifice you have to make when we bid up for quarterback a little bit.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where are all the Brewers
Agreed.
fans out there tonight here? They just extended their lead to 12-0
Oh,
against the Pirates.
I have it pulled up on the screen. I've just been busy doing stuff.
Yeah.
Did not realize that they're
and was torched by a Frelick leadoff home run.
Let's go. We like to see that. Hey,
Yeah.
one more win for Burgers. George Webb pays in blood after we missed out just in one for Seattle last. The crowd is going to go nuts, Jake. Tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
For the free burgers
It's been
potential.
quite
That's
a
going to
while
be
since
insane.
I've been to a George Webb, but it doesn't miss.
I'll make the pilgrimage with you. I have not been to one ever. So for free burgers, that'll be let's do that. Let's plan for that.
The line's going to be so long.
for an hour drive for free burgers does sound counterintuitive, but yes. Yeah. It's just to say that you did it. That's the part that matters. So Ted McMillan at $26. That's
let's see if that was a bit of a stretch. I know there's some rookie above here, but
Tyreek Hill for 26, Garrett Wilson for 30, or Ted McMillan for 26. Yowzers.
That's the high end. That's the absolute high end of where he's been going here. So
okay,
but our guy Team 3 really seems to like him. Who is also Team 3 is interestingly taken 2 tight ends already.
Oh, okay. They've had 2 tight ends.
Who the world, because there is a regular flex spot here.
Right. Yep. That's a good point. So Baker just went, and I think you would say, kind of want to just mess with this bit. So strategy wise for everyone, if you see this doesn't have to always be the case, but if you see a Baker Mayfield go off the board, the way that these smart drafts end up doing is that typically you'd assume they're looking for the stack. Now, they might want to wait a little bit longer. They might have identified that they can get Chris Godwin or Mecca Buka at a little bit later price. And in my mind, I don't want to make that such an easy thing. Like, people are going to see Baker Mayfield, might have missed that one. They have the quarterback already. I will then make sure that you are double tapping if you're trying to complete that stack and they're not sleeping it. So, like, the idea is, all right, someone might be able to sneak a Baker Mayfield auction in there. Okay, if you weren't paying attention, you definitely will be for a Mike Evans, which is a key piece of that. So I don't know. Did the person who got Baker Mayfield also end up getting Mike Evans?
Nope, Mike Evans went to Team 8, and Team 8 actually building a very nice squad so far. I like their price on Jalen Hurts. I like their price on Christian McCaffrey. $11 Laporta, Mike Evans for 24, Rashee Rice for 21. Looks like a great foundation over there.
Yeah, it was Team 2 that got Baker. I don't think I saw Team 2 involved in it, so I'm not like upset necessarily, but yeah, that was at least the premise that we'll go ahead and do that. So I don't know. I shouldn't have won up this one, but we'll see. We'll get stuff. Oh, thank goodness. Would you have been upset if we got $29 T Higgins?
$29, I think, is a little bit too much.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, we have Burrow. We should probably be going for this. No, I'm okay.
I like T Higgins so much, and I'm definitely going to have a couple of shares. But $30 at this point in the draft is, it's a little bit too much for my blood.
I'll ask you this, Jake, because I think it'll matter for a lot of people. How price enforcing is definitely easier when you're in the room. You're getting to see people. You more or less know them. Your friends and buddies.
Mm-hmm.
in this scenario, like we do for the RotoWire Stake League, you might know your 13 other people, your competitors, but it does not guarantee that you know what their thoughts are on these strategies.
Yeah.
So, how do you price and force in a room where everyone's faceless? Like, what is there any sort of feel or lean you have with this?
Yeah, well, you definitely have to. Obviously, if you're going to price and force, you have to be willing to take a hit here and there. You have to make sure that you can't be in there price enforcing on an expensive tight end when you already have a tight end, for example, or same thing with quarterbacks. And you always have to be ready to make it here, which is why you got to have two screens up usually for your draft if you can, or divide your screen into two sides. One that has kind of the price list you're settling on, and another that has your obviously your draft room here, or find a way to navigate quickly between those two. And you want to be able to just have something where you can toggle between windows, Control F, or however the player search on that tool goes. If you're here in the RotoWire draft room, like if I need to quick find what Cortland Sutton's value is here, there we go. I've got a rough $21 or $29 on him. In this situation, that was just the first example that came to my head. But basically, the idea of price enforcing is if someone's about to go for like a third or more underneath the value here, you kind of you don't want to let someone get away with such a steal in that scenario. Obviously, we couldn't price enforce Jalen Hurts because we already had Joe Burrow, but
Right.
there have been other scenarios where that perhaps would have been appropriate.
Yeah, that's so like the idea of, oh man, this guy got a $5 difference of Jalen Hurts to Joe Burrow is frustrating, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
But the absolute worst case scenario is that you've now spent $30 in a position that you're expecting to have 10 or 15,
Yep.
right? Like if somebody wants to stick you with Jalen Hurts, and maybe that in a competitive league like this with an overall tournament, that the risking the $5 to bump somebody up one more, I won't do it. But in other situations, I'm okay with that, especially if you feel like you could trade. Because like you can't trade in the NFFC. You could theoretically end up trading in your friends and family league in that scenario, and then that becomes an easier way to sort of price and force with that.
If the value, even if the value is super great, I don't think you can ever really count on a trade in fantasy. This isn't fantasy baseball where there are 10 categories and 29 players, and you can find all sorts of creative ways to do team needs. Trading is so hard in fantasy because you only have a couple of positions, and then everybody has selection bias almost with the players that they have. They're always going to overvalue the players that they draft, myself included. So they feel like to get rid of one of those players that they were targeting and hopeful for eventually, it's going to take a pretty hefty price here. And what do we have here? Jonathan Taylor for 35. That compares to 37 Jacobs and 31 Kyron Williams. So kind of right in there, a little bit of last of the tier syndrome. But anyway, what I'm saying is I never want to draft like I can count on a trade in fantasy, because not only part of it is, I'm going to end up with 14 teams this year. How much time do I have to really mess around trying to unload one player on my roster?
Right.
Even if the value is tremendous, and to be able to execute a trade before week 1 or early in the season, because in this situation, you do kind of need to execute a trade before week 1 if you were doing it. You're going to have to sell that player at a fraction of their value, I think, in most cases. So definitely don't bid as if you can count on a trade. At least that's my philosophy.
I think that's totally right. So I ended up getting us Jonathan Taylor at 35. I hope you don't mind. But that was our one. Oh no, I see your face. You're not happy with that.
Oh, I mean, I can live with Jonathan Taylor at 45. I very much like our foundation. It just might be tough to do content if we're not in on players here for the next hour. So
we'll talk about everyone else's
I'm
team.
Jonathan Taylor at 35. I'm a little surprised. It was a last of the tier scenario, and we have a pretty dang good foundation. We're just going to have to be out on bidding for a little while. Our max bid at this point is $19. We've officially spent the most money out of anyone in the group here, but we can kind of see these bids that come off. And so this is a funny thing in this case, because we're down to 19 as our max bid. Like, do we want to throw out our dollar kicker and defense?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, I was going to actually say, hey, if you have time, Jake, let's go ahead and look up some week 1 defenses, because that's our next nomination after the kicker. I have the kicker already set. We're good there, but we'll have to get defenses next. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let's just see what we have here. I didn't actually, for some reason, I didn't think we had a defense. So let's see. Did Lions kicker go off the board yet?
We're going to go, I mean, We're two away. Don't
off.
worry about the kicker. I got that one already set, at least. So
Okay, I'm cool with that.
We'll be. I'm saying like the defense. If that would be what we're going to go with next. Like, what do we want for defense? Because I have not. I'll be completely transparent. I have not looked at week 1 defenses yet. This is typically when I've done NFFC drafts, my very last selection. So all the potentially good ones are gone. I think a lot of people already have them as well too, to open up and make the nomination queue a little bit higher for people. But yeah. So I like Jonathan Taylor at 35 is tough, but I would much rather have $7 difference of Jonathan Taylor than Kenneth Walker. And I bet you you're going to have to pay $10, $12 for Charbonnet. So Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet for 50 or Jonathan Taylor for 35. Like, to me, that's a no-brainer. And we had James Conner also go off the board for 16. That's a little bit different. Like, maybe you get James Conner and then Trey Benson for 5. So $21 Cardinals backfield is interesting, but I don't really want anything to do with that group. So like you said, last of the tier, but I think James Cook is conventionally in that spot as well. Running back has been picked pretty thin. It's definitely been going.
Who's the theoretical best running back available at this point?
Top 4 right now: James Cook, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I am glad we'll be out of that tier a little bit.
Oops. All right. Well, I didn't mean to do this, but that's okay. Well, I meant to throw out the kicker there, and I did not. But I think it'll be fine for the most part. I had queued up some tight ends I didn't mind, and I had Evan Ingram set at 7, or I put Evan Ingram out there, so we can't get involved in Evan Ingram right now. He ends up going for $7. I tried at 6. That's okay. I like Ingram and TJ Hawkinson, and both being gone means that we will spend nothing at tight end, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kelsey's still out there technically. So is
Kelsey is, Mark Andrews is, and then Njoku and Kraft. Those are your top 4 tight ends still left as well.
If we end up getting one for $3 or less, great. That would kind of fit in with our plan here.
Yep. Okay, so
and what we're doing here is, we've done so many drafts, and in our mock drafts, you've identified so many $1 targets here towards the end. And there's a strategy that you kind of have to decide here. What percentage of your overall budget are you going to spend on your starting lineup, your theoretical starting lineup? Because obviously we're going to do a waiver wire show every single week this year. We're going to be all over that and make sure we get our best pieces. But I think the general consensus, at least maybe with base, I'm thinking better picture. I think the general consensus is 80-20, 80% starting lineup, 20% bench. We're going to end up more like 90-10 with this distribution, maybe 95-5. But, you can see that the quality of our starters, if they live up to expectations, are going to be just as good, if not better, than anyone in the league.
I'm angry about the Metcalf went for 24, DJ Moore went for 23. Like, if I could say I'm going to get 2 of those receivers and then pile on some of the upper end running backs, that would be a much better spot. But I'm frustrated that like Metcalf for 24. This is what happens when you get a little bit aggressive.
There's one side effect here of doing this kind of spending so early is we can't price enforce even if we want to, because we don't have the budget left to do that.
Like that for Matthew Golden for 9. I don't know. Would you have wanted to go any higher for Matthew Golden?
I think Matthew Golden for 9 is a little bit too rich. We're still
a little too rich. Okay.
We're still working on a kind of speed dependent rookie in a run first offense.
Yeah, with all the injuries that happened today, with the Packers receiving core, and then of course Jordan Love and his thumb injury, that maybe it is the right call. I don't know, but I would agree with you. Like, I don't know. If you told me Matthew Golden will for sure start this season, I'm interested, but that becomes a tricky spot.
Yeah, 9 was definitely a little bit on the higher end, but maybe that's a reaction to today's news.
Certainly could be. Yeah, certainly could be. All right, making our way through. We're only through round 6 right now. There will be a break in round 10 for 5 or so minutes, but sitting here with very little money, we'll watch as these next group of receivers go. Xavier Worthy off the board at the moment at 17 and climbing. No one player has $100 yet. Everyone's under 100 right now at this point. The minimum bids for a lot of people way different than ours, but of course we have the most spent of this group, tied with somebody who has a $3 difference as well in terms of the max bid that they can make.
Taking up more roster spots with their spends.
What was that?
They've just taken up more roster spots with their spends.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really even play along in the upbidding scenarios here. Although, this is tough. I would love to go for McLaurin at 19, but like that's
I
literally
was
all
just
we
gonna
could
say,
do.
like, where's McLaurin in this whole scheme of things? I'm curious.
You know what? Let's do it.
No, we can't.
No, we are. Oh, I did. I went to 19. I'm fine with that if it happens. That would be okay. Because we'll shave off a buck or two with some of our bench guys, right? Or is that
Well,
not how that
19
works?
means we're down to dollar days.
That we literally just spend $1 for every position. Okay, fine. Well,
That
I
would
priced
that
it up.
would make for interesting content. Like, how do you do this if you go too early?
If you do blow your entire load 40 minutes into the draft, what happens? All right, so I did push it up one, and I chose not to, or I thankfully somebody bailed us out from that. So you have
Well,
Xavier Worth at 19,
we'll
McLaurin at
forget about
20.
what might have happened there. I'll just say great price and force, Joe. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll make sure I have this set correctly so that we're good. Okay, let's take a look at some of these teams right here. So the team that has Matthew Golden has Rashee Rice as well too, and Mike Evans. We had talked about maybe throwing Mike Evans out there, hoping to get the Baker Mayfield team. Team number 2, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Lab McConkey, and then Kyron Williams and T.J. Hawkinson with a Devontae Adams in there as well. That's a pretty good. If the draft were to happen, that's actually a pretty good build, so to speak. We had one of the very first players off the board was Trayvon Henderson. You talked about Amari Hampton, Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas. That team is super young. So is there any one team that stands out to you that's like, oh, we are going to have to look out for this team?
Yeah, I'm going back, to team 8, the team that did take Golden, just because of it's the individual buys that I really seem to like here. McCaffrey at 43, I thought was a great price. Obviously, we've discussed Hurts at length. They're not overpaying for tight end. They decided to go after mid-tier receivers, be perfectly fine with getting depth there instead of studs. That's fine, but I think they're off to a very, very good start. There are no plays on there. I also really like Rashee Rice too. I mean, despite whatever suspension may be coming, I think he could definitely be in this tier with I don't know, what do you want to call it? Hill and Harrison and McLaurin are at the top of that tier ahead of McMillan for the games that he does play. So that was an interesting strategy. Save some money on Rice and beef up the receivers a little bit throughout the rest of this draft. So that one's definitely standing out here. Let's see here. Who else do I really like?
I like the Neighbors Nakua JSN team with Chuba Hubbard and then DJ Moore. They don't have a whole lot of money necessarily, but that's a really, really good roster, provided that you can comfortably make a running back with the $27, which should be more than enough room. James Conner already off the board. Sorry, I'm going to make sure we'll just get this part.
So. Yeah, Devonta Smith for $16. I think what we're going to start to see now is because players basically in rounds 1 through like 2.5 were all pretty high up there in value, and we saw a lot of people spending their cash there. Now and we just picked up the Steelers kicker. Now, I mean, players like Devonta Smith, usually when you project them out are around $21. So we're going to start to see those guys and their price come down a little bit there.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton at 18, Jameson Williams 19, McLaurin 20, Xavier Worthy 19. So that's clearly people have now understood what's happening with the rest of the money available. And you're still putting off of the redraft rankings, but it's in a much better spot. So what happened with let's see, this
Travis Hunter for $11 just went off the board, and that
and that team only has $3 left. I would imagine
they have 14, but $3 is your max bid. Which
so your running back too starter has to be just dollar days sort of scenarios, right? I mean, like that's not it's not a great spot.
Same with the quarterback and the tight end. I mean, that is when you start your draft, Chase for 58 and CeeDee Lamb for 49. More than almost 60% of your budget on your first 2 picks. This is just kind of what the roster's construction ends up looking like. I definitely probably wouldn't have gone Hunter for 11 in that scenario, though, especially when it's a bench receiver.
I wonder if it's price enforcing.
Bench receiver before you have RB2 quarterback. Tight end is an interesting move. I wonder if he was trying to price enforce on Hunter, because I do see a lot of other sources out there putting Travis Hunter at a little more value.
Look, I'll just say it again. I kind of intentionally mentioned it without the name, but I forgot David did approve us to go ahead and talk about it. I really like that build that David has. Now, I'm not necessarily in on Malik Neighbors or Nakua at their ADP. I would much rather have a Drake London. You could even talk to me in Derrick Henry in half-point PPR settings if we're just saying on the order. But if we're able to build a roster that kind of shrinks things down and say, okay, I can save a couple bucks here to do something else, getting that running back too, this is the preferred team that I would have. I think this is actually a really, really attractive roster and one that I think is absolutely the best build. And I'm nervous. We will deliberately have to block David. And it's not because it's David. I'll be blocking Team 10 from getting a good running back too, because this is as potent of a roster I think that we've seen here.
I mean, those are 5 guys right there that should be getting 15 to 20 a week off the bat. And then, you imagine whatever quarterback he gets later on is going to be another 20, and there's your 100-point foundation. You just got to find another gem or two. I mean, running back's obviously going to be tough because he only has one and not a lot of money to spend, but maybe he's confident that he can get it on the wire, especially if he's a listener of our show.
Yeah, that is a good team that I'm liking so far. So we're making it through a couple more. I think we went through like 12 or so picks. Last running back off the tier here, and one of the highest, at least in the ADP queue, is James Cook now at $14, and I would assume climbing. But
I don't think
not a whole lot of
that because of the hold. I know his price has been depressed a lot because of the holding and whatnot, but I'd much rather go for $3 Ray Davis at some point.
Yeah, $17, $18 right now. I think this is going to end up being one of the better values overall. You'll have to kind of read through the running backs in a similar price, but thankfully climbing up a little bit now at 19. I would have thought that this would be a team or player that David would go into, Team 10 as well, sitting at now $21. That's good at least, but this is going to be the last. Again, other running backs after James Cook now at this point: DeAndre Swift, Caleb Johnson, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne. Like you're going to be able to get some okay starters, but nobody that theoretically has the 16 touchdown upside that James Cook had, at least rushing wise last year. So 21, James Cook, that was the last of that big group.
I believe if I remember, RJ Harvey went off for 19, so that's kind of where we're looking here.
Yeah, I think RJ, and then we had Henderson also go for 21. And right now Cook is like a 2-round ahead draft over Henderson. So that would have been one of those where in the sharp rooms.
I've seen Henderson and Cook right around in the 4th, right?
No, you'll see James Cook ahead of Henderson every time.
Well, sure, but they're getting closer.
Maybe the contract stuff is what people have worried. I don't know.
Between the contract stuff making Cook fall and the massive preseason game making Henderson rise, I think they are getting really closer.
Yeah, the massive preseason game
in round 4, and you on Travion Henderson, you probably have to take him if he's like your guy. And yeah, that's sure that's a stretch, but like that's the beauty of auctions because you can find a way to get him regardless. But if that's your guy, you're gonna have to reach in
right. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to get on Calvin Ridley here. I don't know what if you go like where you at 13 or 14, 15 for Calvin Ridley. I think at 17 we got to probably leave it now at $18. So
unfortunately, just a little too rich for my blood. Actually, I put defenses up there. 15 to 25 is the range.
We've blown through it. It's at 22 right now. People are buying the Cam Ward love for Calvin Ridley. That's for sure. What is a defense that so the Eagles are on the board right now. The Ravens are on the board. Steelers are on the board as well too. I think the Commanders are the Giants in week 1. That's an attractive one if you want to as well.
Yeah,
who do the Eagles
are the highest ranked or in terms of at least ADP?
What is their week 2 schedule? Like, can we sit through the Cowboys game? I think they play the Cowboys week 1. Like, is that fine or what does that look like?
Let's see. Cowboys week 1, Chiefs week 2. It's not a great start. Rams week 3.
No, I'm good. I don't need the Eagles then. I don't know if that's how you feel. I don't need to be that.
I like this. I'll be Jamie to your Joe and look up questions like this on the side if you're in left. What was the other one you wanted to look at? Steelers?
No, the Commanders. I think the Commanders play the Giants in week 1, which would be, I believe, the defense that you try to target.
They got the Giants in week 1, but the Packers in week 2. I mean, I guess who knows how injured the Packers are going to be. And it's a short turnaround. It's a Thursday night game. So if you want to play the Packers, you want to do it early in the season while they're seemingly not so healthy at the receiver position and on a short week. So September 11th, my birthday, actually, the Commanders play the Packers.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And that one's in Washington, right?
No, that's in Green Bay. It's a Thursday night game.
So they have both the games. Okay, they have the Lions game and the Washington game back to back. Interesting.
Yes, I will be at the Lions game.
We bought ETN for 7, Jake. Tony Pollard goes for 12. I think that's a pretty good value for Tony Pollard, given Tajay Spears and the injury stuff for that. So defense-wise, when it comes up here, I would assume we'll end up nominating the Commanders. Do you have anybody else that you think week 1 they have an easy matchup? Let's just play it that way.
Yeah, let's take a look. Who the Bills have week 1? The Vikings and Bills off the board?
Bills are gone, and I think the Vikings are gone as well too.
I don't see the Vikings off the board. Let me double check that. Unless someone took 2 defenses already. Vikings had the Bears in week 1 and the Falcons in week 2. That could be doable. Then they got the Bengals in week 3, but at least it's at home.
I don't see Minnesota.
So yeah, they could be a defense that we have in play here. Texans are somehow 7 in ADP. I don't see them off the board. Let's just take a look at what their early season schedule is here. I've got the Rams week 1. Maybe that's Jimmy G. Then they got the Bucks week 2, but at least they're at home. And the Jags week 3 and the Titans week 4. So if we can stomach the Bucks, maybe the Texans could be in play. Or did we just get the Commanders?
I took the Commanders, but I think you were looking at the kickers because the Vikings were off the board and the Texans were off the board as well.
Oh, so yes, I was looking at the kickers. You are correct. Oh, man. All right. Still getting used to this NFFC format a little bit, but we do love it. They're great partners.
I'm almost certain they're not there. I'm almost certain they're okay. Good. Yes. Thank you. I'm sure David is like screaming like, Jake, yes, they're gone. I promise. Don't worry.
It's
all good. All good.
Stuff up because I'm not drafting here. I'm going to tweet our team here.
Yeah, the Commanders had the Giants week 1, right? Did I get that correct?
Yes. Hang on a second.
Okay. Yeah, and it's at Washington.
Giants week 1. Yep.
All right. And that was what we're shooting for, so that's what we want. Okay. Now is the fun part. Now is where all the research we've done, Jake, over this time period, we can really start using the dollar days to our advantage. Let's go ahead and get some of our guys that we think make the roster for us. We're slowly watching money off the board. Jerome Ford goes for 3, probably a good deal. We'll see what Mahomes is going to end up being a massive deal, I bet you, or like a steal for somebody sitting at $3. Oh, this is going to be frustrating if Team 10 ends up getting that because that's a steal.
All right. Sorry,
we can't price
here. I was just tweeting our current roster, which okay, we'll see if we get any reaction to that.
Well, that's a good. This is whatever David ends up getting Patrick Mahomes for, even at $10, is a really good spot to be. Oop! Oh, there was 11.
It's 11. A little rich here, especially at this point in the draft when I don't see it. There's only one team with a max bid. There's only one team with a max bid above $32, and everyone still has a lot of needs to fill. There is nobody except for Team 2, really, and Team 8 that are essentially full. And obviously, Team 11 went hard early with the Gibbs-Barkley combo and fully intended to wait out the middle, which is another strategy, that you can use when you start. Again, when you start with half your budget and 2 picks, you tend to
loving Team 5 right now. I'm looking at Team 5 with the Jaden Daniels, which was a decent enough one, but Achane, I don't want Achane, but that was fine enough at the price. And Isaiah Pacheco,
I'm actually fine with Achane this year. I've got him in 1 keeper place. I'm not quite sure what the concerns are with him. I think the big play guy who's getting better on the career upswing with big PPR upside.
But the Jefferson, Metcalf, Myers combo, that's a really good starting 3, and you could still spend a lot at getting another couple of options out there too. So I like that team as well. So the concern with Achane is you just can't, and I want to make sure you can hear me still, right? I thought it said it died. Okay. You just can't predict that he's going to get the same passing volume that he did last year. Like either the Dolphins continue to lose football games and Mike McDaniel just loses his job, or theoretically they change something up. And I don't know if the answer is they won't have this offense operate. Like maybe it's just Jonnu Smith that gets removed and Jalen Waddle takes over that, or it's Tyreek Hill. Or
a little high for Ricky Pearsall at this stage in the draft.
I would definitely agree. Other receivers on the board, Zay Flowers.
Just looking at the other teams' budgets, like there's going to be some big values coming up. I feel like that was a little bit of a reach.
So that
Sorry to
team has
interrupt. I was
50
just matching.
bucks, or it says 64 with one of the highest, and their max bid's 50. So they can kind of push people around to get their guys. I'm surprised by that too, though. I thought 16 for Ricky Pearsall's pretty tough, especially like you're going to see other receivers: Jerry Jeudy, Roma Dunze, Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, for example. Um, Maybe this is just going to be Team 11's way to go ahead and just
Yeah.
aggressively get a bunch of these. But now Zay Flowers at $18, so two more than Ricky Pearsall. This range of
Again, I
receivers
think
is
paying
definitely
anything more than $15 for a receiver at this point in the draft is a little foolish because there are going to be a lot of values that open up here in the middle.
I would typically agree with you. I would typically agree with you.
I mean, 11's going to have the best backs in the league with Gibbs and Barkley, but he's definitely setting up for the worst receiving core if your 1-2 is Harrison.
Yeah,
And
there's maybe a
Flowers.
way to get another one, and then you say Harrison, Flowers, and then wide receiver 3 and and then Pearsall can be your flex. You're okay with that. That's not hurting too much.
Yep, the
So
largest max bid right now is $36. Now the Team 11 has spent a little bit of money here, so it's getting back to that area for me. I don't mind that for David. $3 Bo Nix.
Yep. And he has in on Mahomes. He stopped at 10, so he saved $6. You wonder where that ends up coming to play depth wise and what that means for the roster. But this is a really good build. I don't like Bo Nix all that much this year, but if he's only going to be $2 more than Jared Goff or Jordan Love or Trevor Lawrence, you do that every single time. Like this is just that's absolutely a great win, and I think a perfect buy for that scenario. So great call
auction.
again.
You don't want to be completely out on anyone, even if you don't believe in positive or positive progression, I guess you should say, for Bo Nix and this Broncos team. That's just a stellar price, and if you don't love Bo Nix, you can go grab another dollar guy later, or double tap if you have to. But I think that was an excellent buy here. I would have been perfectly fine with that.
So I think that was the 9th quarterback off the board, if I'm doing basic math correct.
Yep. Nobody has taken 2 yet. 3 teams need one.
One of the teams couldn't go any higher. Like that wouldn't have made sense to go and spend on Bo Nix. You would have think Team 11 would have gone a bit more aggressive to bump it up, but you're having to hope that you're bidding between Team 11 and Team 10, and if 11 isn't aware of that, then
Team 11 would have been in a great place to do the price enforce, like we were talking about there. So, but maybe they have another target in mind. Maybe they weren't okay with a $4 Bo Nix.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Jordan Mason at 6. Again, we've got ETN at 7, which I felt was fine enough given our small enough price tag. I think Mason will end up being closer to 10. Might end up settling here at 8. This will be Team 5, I think. Yeah. Did Team 5 have Aaron Jones as well? I'm very curious if that was
Team 5 started HN and Pacheco.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that team, which I liked.
The third running back purchase and a flex. So Mason a little more than ETN.
All right. In the NFFC, at least, it makes sense to always get an additional quarterback, even if you end up spending up for Burrow. I don't want to spend more than $1, so there'll be times we're going to be nominating quarterbacks with the idea that if they go for a buck or more, that's fine. I don't think there's much of a difference. But in this format, even though we spent heavily on Joe Burrow, we're going to make sure that we end up getting at least one. That's my plan. So how I'm doing this. So
so we have the first team with 2 quarterbacks. They spent $9 total, $5 Dak Prescott, $4 Justin Fields. But as you can see, Nix is going pretty ahead of Fields in terms of ADP, and Fields went for $1 more. So this is definitely the stage of the draft where people are going to kind of start getting their guys.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call. So I threw out DJ Giddens. Normally, if he gets drafted, it's one of the last picks. I probably did it too early because there's at least one other person that is in our same spot and trying to save a bit more money, and they just kind of gobbled up one of the possible value. I don't know if, like, to me, DJ Giddens isn't worth $3. He frankly isn't worth $2 either, but somebody did that because they could go ahead and do so. Yeah. Your $1 plays, it's good if you can wait till the appropriate time when everyone else is kind of trying to be smart with their money.
But also be ready to jump on $2 if one of your targets is there. What I found in some of my friends and family leagues, they know who I am, and anytime I throw out $1 player, somebody's going to bid 2 just because it was me that made the nom and they think that I got it. Now I can start using that to my advantage by throwing out false $1 players in this range of the draft and then waiting till the actual end to get the queue of guys I actually want. It's been an interesting push and pull there in that league, in that scenario.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, using the influencer tag to your advantage is kind of interest. I'm down with that one. That's a good point. Let's see. So Josh Downs at 3, and this is Team 10. I think again, Team 10, awesome. Not that I'm trying to block them necessarily. It establishes what the rest of the tier of these receivers looks like. And Downs is now climbing up a little bit more. We're getting close to the range now, Jake, where you had talked about where we kind of have to make, like, do you want to go ahead and spend on this receiver sort of stuff?
Want to try and grab like a $3 Keon Coleman or something along those lines? I know we're kind of giving away the sauce here, but
yeah, I think if we're doing the next nomination, it would be to get the $1 quarterback. That would be my goal, especially as we start to see now quarterbacks 13 or 14 go off the board. But we might not end up getting that
choice. When 3 guys still need a quarterback.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. Yep, very good point.
Because I don't think we need to spend any more than $1 on a quarterback. Like Kyler Murray for $3, I think was a fantastic buy.
Right.
Bo Nix for $3 is an even better buy, but we don't need to be going $2-3. You know, I'd rather be able to go to $2 on a couple people's $1 bids on guys that we like than spend money on what's probably going to be a bench spot, 90% of the time or what's going to be a bench spot every week outside of week 10, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point as well. I was in on Stephon Diggs here. I'd messed around pushing up to 10, chose not to. Josh Downs goes for 7. I think they're more or less comparable receivers, so I got a little bit nervous trying to go that route. We might end up regretting it, but Stephon Diggs at 9 was one I didn't want to go too much higher on. I hope you're fine with that.
Oh yeah, I'm fine passing on Stephon Diggs. I don't think Stephon Diggs at that price is fine, but I don't think he's enough of a target for you and me to really hamstring us that bad the rest of the way, which is what the cost is if we were to do something like that at this point.
Okay. Well, I did try to hamstring us because I wanted Olave, and we only have 13 as our max bid. They did bump us up one more to 14. So that was why I was saving out for it, but no Olave dice as well. So he ends up going for $1 more.
Hey, at the very least, once again, Joe, you have pricing for somebody.
I am now regretting more and more not going a little bit higher on Drake London and Joe Burrow. That's because Olave would have been my guy. I would have been like fine with Olave at 16 or 17.
Yeah, I mean, think if we end up with $3 Knicks or Kyler, then yeah, we're getting Olave and a decent tight end.
Yeah. Oh well,
we're gonna find a way to work around that. We are
Yeah, I would say that I definitely like our team from last year better. That was and we still ended up not even making the playoffs. Oh, we might have made the playoffs. No, we did make it. It was like Lamar Jackson, but we had 5 or 6 injuries to the receivers. We had Chris Godwin, who was carrying us for a while. We were near the top of the overall point leaders in this championship through week 7 or 8, and it was Rashee Rice that we had lost, and we lost Chris Godwin. It was just an insane amount of injuries that we could not overcome. But safe to say, I will not think that this team ends up looking as good as what we did last year at the end of the draft. Did anyone weigh in on social media at all as to how our draft start has been?
No, I've been doing it in a thread instead of separate tweets. Maybe that's the way to go. But if you do want to comment, at RotoJake, and we'll take it from there. I'll do another one from. I'll do another post of what our bench looks like when we kind of get there. And if you got a good screenshot of our roster from the NFFC site, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, it's a good call. That's a good call as well too. As we're approaching hour and 15 minutes of doing this, we are going to be taking a 5-minute break here in probably like 2 minutes here. One of the last. We're halfway through this round.
Do you want me to check out a little early so you can talk for a second, and then I'll talk for any you need to leave, or are you doing the Jim Coventry marathon? Through the whole thing?
I can never compete with the Jim Coventry marathon, but if you want to check out for a little bit of talk, that's fine.
Right. I just need a couple of minutes.
That'll be good. Yeah. So
this is longer than our typical live stream show. Hope you guys are enjoying us here, but
Yeah, you're good.
I just pop off the screen for a second. I'm gonna pop off.
Or you can just mute yourself too. Like that's probably fine. But Tucker Kraft at $4, a tight end that we maybe consider. The tight ends to left: Travis Kelce, Jake Ferguson, Colston Loveland, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts. We're at that period for the tight end spot, and we're going to be up for nominations. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really want to throw out Travis Kelce. Not that I feel like we're saving anything. We'll go ahead and just toss out some of these injured receivers and see what that money looks like for these guys, whether it be Juwan Jennings, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Khalil Shakir, Jaden Reed. I think there's an opportunity for people to be like a bit more compiling of sorts with this group. And while I don't think this would be our wide receiver 3, or at least it wouldn't be early on, I wanted to know what the rest of the market would think about this group of tier of receivers. So Juwan Jennings at $6, Ricky Pearsall going for 16 or whatever it was. No end in sight, I believe, for Brandon Ayuk yet at this point. And his return seems like at least week 6. He could be more like a buck or two player, I'd imagine. That's there. So I wanted to know what that group of injured receiver price tag would look like. A Dunze at 10, for example, or Juwan Jennings at 7, Josh Downs at 7. I would much rather have a Josh Downs. I'd rather have Chris Olave for double the price, frankly, as well, too. I think this is the last tight end now for Team 9. This will be the last, I'm sorry, my goodness, last quarterback. We had Justin Fields go at 6. So Goff ends up being quarterback 14 at $3. Like Jake had mentioned, although maybe I had that wrong, they didn't go to the right team. Like Jake had mentioned, we're going to see a lot more of these tight ends and quarterbacks go for a buck. Chiaconko goes for a buck as well. We probably still need to wait, at least from our perspective, to make sure that we get a decent enough value for what we want for a quarterback 1. I would assume you could probably get one of them for $1, like in that Tua, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud range, but we might not. So I'm be very curious how that ends up going throughout this draft. I think the last of the running back tier coming up with David Montgomery at $10 at the moment. A lot of people able to spend a bit more. I think everyone has their de facto starting running back. We have ETN as a flex. A few of James Conner, Eckler. This ends up being a good buy, I think, for David Montgomery at $10, and one that I would have kind of been happy to capitalize on if that was the case, but no opportunity for there. So I looked at that DJ Giddens team, Team 9. It's Kenneth Walker, and then they're going to end up having to try to figure out what that $1 running back looks like, or $2, or I guess I could go a little bit higher for it, but it certainly isn't going to be in that price tag of David Montgomery. Getting the last of the defense off the board, spending $3 there. The team on the far right only has, they now have one of the fewest of the max bids available. And we are getting to the point where we can be a bit more aggressive getting our max bids out there as well, but not entirely sure if we're going to even still be able to build a depth that I want to build with that. So
yeah,
at the moment,
here.
Tucker
We are the
Kraft
only team without a tight end.
That just got solved, I think.
And 2 teams have 2 tight ends.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Chiaconko was a $1 one, and I believe I just got Travis Kelce for $7, and then the break should happen here, I think. There we go. All right. Well, what do you think? I mean, that's there you go. We got
there you go.
I was gonna say you won Kelce, right? You're okay with that?
I'm very okay with that. Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Mark Andrews was I see he's on Team 8. I forget. I can't see the price tag that he went for. $6.
Mark Andrews went for $5 as Team 8's tight end 2, and that's kind of the tier drop off there.
Yep. And we get Kelce for $7.
Kelce at $7. Our original values here give Kelce at 10, so a little bit of a value there due to the spot in the draft here. Surprised we waited the draft itself waited so long. We'll have to weather the early storm with Kelce. Do you think the Chiefs will manage him like they do and keep him so he can be a stud in the playoffs?
Yes, I do.
What happened last year?
Yeah, I do. Good news is full point PPR league. Kelce, while he isn't going to be scoring touchdowns, still got 90 receptions last year. He might give you a lot of like 10-point, 13-point games, which isn't ideal. I believe Mario Puig. So our colleague Mario Puig at RotoWire
out of my tight end anytime. Even
yep, exactly. Mario Puig took Travis Kelce in the 6-7 turn. in his online championship a couple weeks ago. And that was one of the first, like, oh, yeah, why am I fading Travis Kelce realizations that I had? Because obviously, Mr. Taylor Swift himself, likely his last season, if not going to be guaranteed his last season. There's a defined amount of production that you think probably comes from Travis Kelce, hardly ever gets injured to a serious degree. And if you think he either falls off at the end of the season or that you're kind of keeping him on wraps, Mario had partnered him with a Colston Loveland, for example. At the end that Loveland towards the end of the year for the Bears would be somebody that's on the upswing. I don't know if I buy that necessarily, but if you're drafting Kelce, especially at his current ADP, you probably want to partner him with a more attractive secondary option. I think with the way the tight end market's going here, again, I think it's 13 or 14 now off the board, possibly 15. You could probably find some cheaper ones for a buck or two that I don't mind with our roster construction. So that we end up getting Kelce certainly wasn't at a crazy discount given we were the last to get that tight end, but I'm okay with it.
Maybe we can sneak in a $1 or $2 Kincaid towards the end here. I know he's not your favorite, or I'm not even going to say the name of your guy that I know you want. But
it's like, don't you dare say it out loud. David already knows, but maybe nobody else does as
well. I was
well.
going to say anyone that's watched us all year knows Joe's tight end guy.
Yeah, I have unfortunately been sniped on plenty of leagues now at this point with that, but yes. So draft will resume here in 3 minutes. We are on the 5-minute break for this draft here. It's 20 rosters for 12 teams, so I think we're about halfway through in the picks part of things. I don't know what the math would be for 10 times, 20 times 12, 244? Something like that. Again, I'm horrible at that stuff. Either way, at the break right now for players, you can see the rosters we've been talking about it plenty now. I really think team number 10 ends up having a good team. Not entirely sure what team 9 did with DJ Giddens now being technically the running back 2. That the running back 2 will by default only be a $2 player. If it's not Giddens, it's somebody else, is a really tough spot to be. And they could have been caught price enforcing with Travis Hunter in particular, who ends up being their bench spot. We are the last.
My theory, yeah, because Travis Hunter, like looking at, obviously you and I don't love Travis Hunter, but 9 to 14, I guess 11 is the spot. I just want to see what RotoWire has him that quick. Yeah, maybe that was RotoWire has him a lot higher projected here. Man, yeah, that's tough. I think, yeah, it was a price enforced. It has to be it.
I would assume, and that's the problem. Not that we weren't paying attention that you get stuck with it, right? Like we weren't aware that we could really put this person in a tough spot. But you can get caught in the idea of, oh, well, everyone wants to go ahead and hear about Travis Hunter. Of course, everyone wants him. You could assume that you live in that certain world, and then boom, end up being in a place where you have now hamstrung your roster and really affected things from a negative perspective.
It's the fifth receiver and bench player.
I would argue Xavier Worthy and Jamison Williams are basically the similar type of archetype of receiver. And if I was to get one, I certainly don't want to get 2. And then you have that with Travis Hunter as 3. That's a tricky spot to be in. Again, you have Fab in the NFFC. You can go ahead and get some of these waiver wire running backs. Not always a guarantee that they will be there, although as you do this earlier in August, the opportunity to then go have the pre-week 1 fab affect things. Actually, we have seen that on a number of occasions. So again,
a pillar of the zero RB strategy is to spend the majority of your fab on a guy that you think is gonna go early on in the year, and we'll hopefully identify some of those for you if they exist here week 1 of the NFL season.
We've identified Team 10 and getting the value of Bo Nix. You've talked about Team 9 with the Jalen Hurts, Christian McCaffrey, Rashee Rice values across the board as well, and Sam Laporta. Although I think Laporta's looks less now that you have a few of these tight ends like Mark Andrews and Kelce being a little bit cheaper. I wanted to point out Team 5 again with Achane, who I don't necessarily want. Pacheco, like that one a lot. And then Jefferson, Metcalf, Jacoby Myers. And then getting Tucker Kraft as their starting tight end too in a really good spot. And also can really do a whole lot of damage as one of the teams with the most money left available, or at least the way to kind of lay the hammer down too. So I'm really liking Team 5 at the moment as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to, I'm looking at all these teams and Team 11, I think, like you said, it's gonna be tough for wide receivers. Oh, here we go. We're back on the board. Some guys realizing they're already in dollar days. I actually really like Team 2 because Baker, fine mid-tier quarterback. I like Kyron Williams. I thought Garrett Wilson for 30 was a great price. McConkey, Devontae could be a steal
Agreed.
at that price. Tyreek Hill's got potential. And we talked about this on our sleepers, but Jerome Ford for $3, that could very easily be RB1 on the Cleveland Browns team for a long time, if not the whole season here, because of the Judkins situation, which I haven't looked at much lately, but that's certainly a possibility here. Ooh, Love for $1. Who got that? I like that. Oh, just as Team 2 hears me talking about him, going to get Love for $1.
Trying to hurt us, right?
For $1.
Yeah, I really like that that buy. I'm hoping that there'll end up being a couple of $1 quarterbacks that we can kind of just say, all right, yeah, that's fine. We're all sort of doing that with Jordan Love sort of leading the charge with it. But
and if you really like one of them, if you nominate them at $2 instead of $1, the team without a quarterback will be unable to get them. Someone else would have to do it. So that's a possibility. Maybe if we liked a super sleeper like McCarthy, you could do it at $2.
And McCarthy goes for $3.
Yep.
There you go. Now we get to this receiver tier that I have some interest in as to what you'll do. So Khalil Shakir, the first off the board of these injured, suspended guys. And we can't go any further
not
than
injured
that
anymore, though. He got cleared, I believe.
No. He'll be ready for week 1, but he's still got the high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah.
So what are we?
So he's at $9 right now at 10.
I think there's an Addison discount. Ibuka's already off the board. Keon Coleman, Chris Godwin. We might have to just wait it out until Godwin's back. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that because he's right at that price where our max bid's going to be. Now this tier's getting rough.
I believe Godwin already. I think Godwin already went. So
did Godwin? There really was. I might have missed that. Yes, sorry.
There really was no discount on Khalil Shakir at $11 when you have a few of these other guys going. So it was like people were waiting for it, like you had talked about. Didn't really get the opportunity. Now, Keon Coleman at 4, I don't want to go any higher than that, right?
No, you're right. 4 was the price I had in mind. I don't see Godwin off the board.
I thought the team that got Mike Evans also got Matthew Golden is what I keep reading. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Golden. Yeah, but
you're right. Chris Godwin is still there. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Good point.
I like Keon Coleman, but with our stage in the draft, that would have been our last pick, and I'm okay.
Do you like Drake May or Caleb Williams enough to go $2 on either one of those at quarterback?
I don't think so, but the question is whether that dollar is really going to help us here in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I do either. I'm not sure where I'm at opinion-wise with that. It'd be kind of tricky.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence for $1.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't hurt us.
It doesn't hurt us to try to sneak a Drake May or Caleb for 1, right?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
I mean, we're kind of just tempting
fate. Still out there?
He is, yeah. That's why I was like, it doesn't matter if we try to get.
I'd rather try. I mean, Goff and Herbert, or even Purdy is still, or did Purdy go? Yeah, Purdy went for 4, but Herbert's one that I'm seeing a lot of dollar interest in, and.
Well, I wasn't sure, and it would have been a $3 one anyway. Drake May goes for $3, and it's still not team number 9 who goes and does it. So I don't know what necessarily quarterback team 9 is waiting for, but having that looming is actually kind of a frustrating part of this whole process too, because you'd theoretically like to get one of these guys at the backup, and we have not been able to see it yet. So there's Herbert for $1, and I'm not going to go and push him up for $1. So this is a perfect example, Jake, of the nomination strategy mattering, because we thought maybe Herbert could make it around, but if we want him for $1, we should have nominated him beforehand.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Williams or Lawrence are who we're looking at right now.
Williams, Lawrence, yeah, that would probably be the last of that group. CJ Stroud also.
Actually, Stroud would be my preference by quite a bit.
Really? Because that's not how it's being drafted, if that's the case.
Interesting. I don't know. We rank Stroud just above Williams and Lawrence. Let me just look at quarterbacks here. In NFFC, Williams is actually 13 and Stroud is 18 and Lawrence is 20. I still think Stroud would be my preference here, unless you feel strongly against that.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I would like either $1 to be Stroud or Lawrence. That I would really don't want to have $2 for either one of those. So
ooh, how the mighty have fallen. Joe Mixon is way down draft boards now.
So let's have this conversation. So Caleb Williams now goes to 2, leaving us to Stroud and Lawrence again. I don't want to go any more further on that. So I was at the Fantasy Football in Canton, Ohio earlier this week. We were there from Thursday to Sunday. Really awesome event. Really for Sunday for the fans overall, but you can meet some of the experts and things like that Saturday if you pay a bit more of a premium. The drafts were awesome that we highlight on SiriusXM. There was a panel that was just talking about injury analysis, and I don't want to get the person's name wrong or who I forgot, but there was a discussion about Joe Mixon, and the person on the injury panel had suggested Mixon might be more likely to never play at all this season, as opposed to being able to play at any point during the regular season. So when I heard that, I was like, wow. I mean, I thought I was concerned and lower on Joe Mixon, but that's about as bad as it gets in terms of what could be out there.
So how much is Nick Chubb going to go for?
Good question.
If we could run into him for $3, I'd be cool with it. That might be a little bit too, I don't know, maybe naive to think we can get him at that price.
Yeah, that's a very good question. All right, so we did see Team 9 end up getting Justin Herbert. That was that group. I'm really hoping that Lawrence down goes off for $1. We have Stroud left. Hopefully with these next 2, we can go ahead and sneak him in there. But that's getting me a little bit nervous that we can get that nomination in, because I think that $1's going to make a difference. And if it means that we have Cam Ward or Tua as our quarterback, too.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with taking like a Cam Ward and just seeing if he's one of those, if he can somehow pull a Jaden Daniels or Deshaun Watson rookie season, because then we're never going to have starting quarterback dilemmas. And, we don't technically need one until, knock on wood here, not until week 10. If that line can keep Joe Burrow upright there. But yeah, that was an interesting pick. Higgins for $2. I like that.
Yeah, I think that was a good one as well. But I have reservations. I think Higgins is a boom or bust guy. And somebody bumped us up for $1.
We're putting him at 8. Obviously, if these were adjusted for inflation, there goes our guy. If these were adjusted for inflation, you look at everybody's budgets here, and looking up your pre-list at this point doesn't necessarily matter, because most of these teams have spent all their money. You're not gonna if there's a receiver listed at $8 at this point, you're looking at a $4 or $5 ceiling probably.
Yeah, like you said, I had nominated C.J. Stroud. He ends up going for 2. Lawrence goes for 1. We had Jordan Love go for 1. Herbert went for 1. I thought Stroud would be there too, but boom, does not end up happening. So Nick Chubb is being nominated right now. Actually, Team 10 is the one that's involved in a little bit. Do you think? I don't really want to go spend more than $4 on our running back 4.
I was actually just about to say that 4 would be about my top. Did he pass it?
I just said I left it at 3. I didn't want to go any further than that. So
that's fine. I mean, we do need a third receiver at this point, which is something that we're undoubtedly going to have to address here. At the same time, if I can get one more somewhat reliable back and worry about whatever $1 third receiver. One thing you'll find on the waiver wire show, and I know our tech guys like Harry will bring this up. I am insane at finding the random deep waiver wire pickup that's going to score a touchdown, and it has made so many opponents of mine in the office mad. I will get the Jalen Naylor touchdown week, or the Keontae Turpin touchdown week, or I like those types of situations last year. I don't know. I should write a column just on that, but.
Yeah, you are very good at that. You're right. That's a good point. You're very good at going ahead and getting those receivers. We're going to need to dial into that, because we are at a very big impasse with our needed receiver here at that spot. So,
well, yeah, I mean, we did the thing where we got our running back foundation solid. We actually got a solid quarterback, solid tight end. Normally, something there has to get sacrificed. You don't build a perfect roster. Nobody here has the perfect roster, and obviously, our wide receiver 3 is going to be in tough shape. But honestly, if I have a weakness, hopefully these first 2 guys live up to their expectations, and then we can figure it out as we go.
Yep, I agree with you. On that one. There could be a pause in this. Somebody had asked for a stop the draft. I'm not sure what that'll end up being about. So if that ends up happening, we'll go into that. It was from a minute ago, so maybe that already happened or it was rolled back. I'm not entirely positive. I think you're supposed to contact the person that's involved in this if you do want the draft to be stopped as well.
There's
Yeah, and
God.
I was involved in it,
Yeah.
and we could have went to 7, and that would have meant that we were
Yeah,
completely
then
maxed
that'd have
out.
been it
Didn't
for us. I'd rather have a couple $2-3 players in there. I'm
I
fine
think
with that.
so? Yeah, I think so. But ooh, I'm nervous. Yeah, so
I
so now
don't
the
like spending the rest of it on a receiver that might not make week 1 when we don't even have a wide receiver 3 to begin with. Godwin was right at value there. I'm just looking at the
right.
RotoWire draft
Yep.
cooler.
So the draft has been paused right now. I think that something will be ran back a little bit. That Keenan Allen was not meant to be ended up bid on.
I was
So we'll
wondering
go.
about $4 Keenan Allen myself. Did someone get moved to auto draft?
There's a couple of auto drafts that were on, but I don't know if that was part of it or not. So yeah, we'll have to see that.
I mean,
It's
yeah. Okay.
I don't think
Well,
Chris
Allen
Godwin.
and Godwin both went, and Team One has the money for it, so maybe he was unintentionally auto drafted for a while. He had a
Yeah,
few
team
plays
team one is
overall.
talking about how they did not want to do the extra 2.
Well,
When
that's
you
interesting.
so
I'm
it
curious how
so
this
the,
gets handled.
so Jake, let's talk about this because while the league does or not, um, yeah, that's fair. So if this happens in your friends and family league, Jake, where somebody it's like an accidental bump up or whatever, do you choose, like if it's that inconsequential, do you choose to go ahead and roll that back, or what would you do if you are the league manager in that scenario?
In friends and family leagues, like the one I commission and most of those types of leagues that I'm a part of, I'll give everybody one. And most people aren't going to take their one. If someone begs to go back because they stuck on auto draft or had a tech issue, I'll roll it back a couple picks. But if it happens to them a second time, then you're SOL. I'm not.
Okay.
I won't do it again because you need to be prepared and have a backup plan. That's plain and simple. You should have mock drafted in this draft room. You should have been familiar. So I'll give everybody one. Usually, not everyone's that friendly. Usually in our stake league, there's always every year there's been one, right?
Yep.
So let's see. Did any picks get rolled back? Was that mentioned in the chat?
It was discussed and no, because it was 4 players go when that happened. So no, they opted to, just because there's a $2 difference. I mean, I understand. Yeah, I there. So on the NFFC, there's actually a button to contact the admin, and they had expressed early on that if they're going to do that, you need to make sure you do that instead of saying in the chat. But for a $2 difference, it's probably okay. It's probably okay.
All right. Yeah, and obviously a friends and family league is way different than a league with strangers here.
Right.
I mean, not
And
everyone's a stranger. I know we've
$15,000
got some
on the
fans
line.
and industry people, but it's high stakes. Yeah, you better come up prepared.
Yeah. The tournament aspect of it makes a bit of a difference too, right? $15,000 that theoretically is going to be available. Yes. Yep. I would agree with you. I would agree with you, Jake, on this one. I do. All right, so we're entering close to dollar days. Rashid Shaheed goes for $3. Garenda goes for $3. Kate Otten goes for 1. Chris Godwin for 7. We have Rashad Bateman here go for 3. I think I wouldn't have minded that. Yeah, it's okay. It makes sense for what you want to do at certain spots. But yeah,
with the Packer injuries, I'd be fine taking Dobbs for $1.
Yep, that'll be one that we'll definitely target for
That's
sure.
one that I'm going to look at. What about Michael Pittman bounce back? Everyone gets a sour taste from him, but now that his price is this low, do we buy the skills at some point, or is it Josh Down season?
Let's go, Jake. Jaden Reed for 4. We'll take that.
I'm sorry. One more time. I got to refresh my thing. I aired it out for a second.
Yeah, we just got Jaden Reed for 4.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully he suits up. I very much like that price. He's probably way higher on this. $12 original projection from RotoWire, who, listen, let's be honest, our formula tends to undervalue receivers a little bit. So I think thanks to the room for giving us our hometown guy. I know a lot of people were frustrated with how Jaden Reed ended the season last year, but I think he's going to continue getting better.
Yep. Very happy with the Jaden Reed for $4. That allows us the little bit of flexibility that we could be looking for everywhere else with this draft. So very, very fortunate that we can get that sort of deal at the moment. Everyone else pretty low in the money category at the moment with these. Yeah, we are That makes a big difference. I mean, we're going to still have to be kind of aggressive getting some of these running backs. But
what do we think about this running back that I have up here on the board here? I know we had that heel bruise, but it's looking like Jaden Blue might play.
I want absolutely nothing to do with Jaden Blue. I think,
you don't think
so this is
win that job all right?
It is less to do about Javonte Williams, too. I'll be very curious to know how much he ends up going. Do you want Ray Davis for 2? I'll ask you that. Or 3?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm done at 4. We're good.
Okay.
Or well, he went for 3.
That's a little surprising, but you think I'm curious to see if it'll be to Team 8, the James Cook owner.
It's not, but I think they did nominate Ray Davis, hoping to get him a little bit cheaper.
Interesting.
There's a lot of
max budget is 6, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good running backs, at least of like that backup tier that's still available. So that might be part of it. That was a catch of the early tier of this, but I think that spells a lot of good news if you are choosing to wait to get more depth there. Although ETN at 7, for example, now it looks bad in hindsight when you get some of these guys. Like I bet you Javonte Williams, who's pretty comparable draft wise, is going to go. What?
I was just going to ask if Tyrone Tracy went off the board. He went for 4.
Yep, 4, and I had nominated Jalen Warren for 5. Like that. I would have rather have those guys, but that's a $2 difference. Like it's not a huge deal with it. So
I'm trying to see here. I mean, are you gonna be looking at this man right here, Trey Benson?
Yes, I have him pulled up right now in the queue. We have a couple of these guys pulled up in the queue at the moment.
Should we grab Tank Bigsby just to have a guy?
I'm totally fine getting him if it's like
$1.
Yeah, if it's like $1 in that spot. So
because the rookie in Jacksonville hasn't been getting a ton of steam, really.
Bashal Tootin, not a huge, not super attracted to him right now. Trey Benson at $4. Like I don't want to go that high. We're good.
So.
No, I mean we were in on it, but we weren't going to push up to 4.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Not where I choose to be, and especially when we're still looking to get a quarterback as well with our.
Yeah, man, that Reed pick definitely takes off some of the early sting.
It allows us to be flexible, which I didn't think we'd be able to do.
I thought we were going to have to max out our bid there to get a viable wide receiver 3.
And obviously the concern of Jaden Reed not playing is certainly real, and we'll need to kind of get a better week 1 receiver option. I have a few in mind, but yes,
bench spots that we use on $1 receiver here. One of them is going to at least have a viable situation by week 1.
Yeah.
Roll the dice on that.
Agreed with you. I agree with you on that one. Absolutely. Agree with you. All right. So we have, I think the last of the defenses off the board. We're going to see Aaron Rodgers go for $1. I'm surprised he even was rostered, which is just in reference to that people are down to dollar days. A lot of people, we can now control the board a little bit with the direction that we want for our depth, which I like a lot. If you can be aggressive early and control late, more often than not, you're going to be in a really good spot. But it means you're forfeiting the middle, like we ended up doing. And I was probably a bit too aggressive early on as well. So Christian Kirk for $2, I think is really good value. That would have been one of those I don't mind as well if you're trying to go ahead and wait. But yes, I feel really good about getting the Jaden Reed flexibility. Truthfully, that's really what it was, getting the Jaden Reed flexibility of it all. So. All right, Colston Loveland now up to $3 as well.
Officially 93.5% of our budget spent on starters.
Okay.
Maybe a little higher than the average distribution here, but I'm always a big proponent of that. I like that strategy.
I agree with you. All right, so trying to make sure that we're sneaking through our guy. Let's go. Got another Joe target here, Mason Taylor for $1.
First bench player, perfect.
I thought we could sneak
that one guy. I like it.
Yes, thought we could sneak that one in. Feel pretty good about getting to pull that one off in this sharp of a room. Really happy about that. And I have my queue set up with a bunch of these guys, which I think means that we can get a little. I got to be quick on it, but if you can jump in on the $1 bump up and get the max before somebody else does. That is as much of strategy as anything else is right now, because the idea is people are sitting at 5, at 6, at 4, at 3. If you are the first to the 4, you have already made it so nobody else can go ahead and do that. So they can't go any higher on these players. So something to sort of keep in mind overall if you are in
there are
this
3 teams already that cannot pay more than $1 for a player. Ooh, was that us?
Yes. No, I didn't. I didn't want to go to 3 for it. I really don't.
Okay. I just saw $2 Bigsby and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I really don't like Bigsby. I'll be honest with you. Like you were throwing it out there, rightfully so. But it's like,
the only reason I was throwing it out there was because of the
for
ETN buy. I wouldn't have necessarily been in a Bigsby for 2 if it weren't for the ETN buy. But the idea is we're going to get a starter that emerges one way or another, which is something people will do.
Yep, I would. I would agree with you. I think there's a lot of running backs left that we can kind of mess around a little bit with it too.
Yeah, so I've been looking at the list. I don't know. I still think if you can get my guy for $1, I'd do it. You don't have to necessarily bid over the top, but
for a running back, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
What else am I looking at here?
I wanted Charbonnet, who's going to sit at $4. I don't think he goes any higher than that. I would have loved Charbonnet as a first grab, and I tried to hit that 4. We did not beat it. Somebody else beat it instead. So even though we could have done it, we didn't get the bid in time, and are going to end up losing out on, I think, one of the better values with Charbonnet at $4. So frustrated with that.
Again, I still think the RotoWire formula, again, it's hard because it's all very arbitrary and all auctions are different. But Charbonnet at 16, I think, is a little reflective of just our general RotoWire emphasis on running backs. If you look at the values in this format, 4 to 8, 4 would have been one of his lower prices of the entirety of auctions so far. So that would have been fine, but also that puts us in immediate dollar days. I like to be able to control the trigger here on some $2 guys. And this is why you talk about your alcohol intake factor that you've coined.
Alcohol consumed, the AC factor.
Hour and 45 minutes into the draft, there are definitely some people checking out that are going to be slower to the trigger on that.
So we just got Brandon Ayuk for 2. I feel really good that we got to lay the hammer down on that one.
Huge upside play. I'm not aggressively targeting Ayuk, but at that price, let's give it a roll here. Because I know we were talking about Godwin, and he's in a similar situation. And yes, Ayuk, we're going to have to wait until.
Well, I'll pause you because that's not fair. Godwin might be able to play week 1. Kyle Shanahan's already said Brandon Ayuk doesn't play at least until week 6. Massive difference. The only way you can pull this off, you can't do this in the RotoWire Stake League, for example, is because there is a massive amount of bench spots in the NFFC. So you can stash some of these injured players in the NFFC, and if you're doing that with a Jaden Reed as your wide receiver 3, you have 2 other studs at the top as well too. We'll get some more depth as well. Like I feel very good about doing that only in this sort of format.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that stresses it very well because look at all these bench spots we have to fill. Whereas our stake league, I think, gives us 5 tops, with the idea being, the waiver wire is not so totally barren. No IR spots or no IR spots here?
No IR spots in the RotoWire Online Championship. Well, sorry, the NFFC.
No. I'm not a huge fan of IR spots in general.
Yep. No IR spots for that. So.
Oh, was Judkins our $1 guy?
Judkins was our $1 guy. I don't know if I can reveal this information, but I talked with somebody at the Fantasy Expo who is actually a lawyer, Jake, and they have a different opinion on the Judkins legal situation than a lot of other folks. And I'll just say I feel that same sort of sentiment, but more importantly, if he ends up not being able to play, doesn't sign the contract, whatever else, it's just a cut. I mean, like that's our week 1 cut, and we're fine. So, like, if it's $1 that we're doing 30 minutes before the draft is early, or $1 with the last one, I don't really care. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm. And I very much like it at $1 because, again, deep benches, all these spots are going to be $1 guys, and we still have the ability to push to $2, which is valuable because now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get bigger as a couple guys go off the board. And I guarantee you a couple more are going to get eliminated from there on teams we don't like. We officially no longer have the least amount of players of the group.
Good.
That.
And I think I got our last running back there with Ramondre Stevenson, which I feel good about. When you think about Ramondre Stevenson as around 9-10 guy, and then DJ Giddens, who somebody bumped up for $2 to us way earlier in the draft, we're at a good spot now where we're kind of protecting ourselves. And yes, we sacrificed $1 bump up possibility, but we're at that point in the draft where
Yep.
there's maximum amount of talent that's left, and I think being aggressive and getting it's okay.
Yeah, I'm totally okay. I mean, we both love Travion Henderson. He's well past sleeper status here, but Stevenson's a guy I still think is going to get us points.
Yeah, and now that allows us to really just sort of bury the receiver spot to make sure that we get plenty of depth to overcome Ayuk and possibly Jaden Reed if you were to miss time. Because theoretically, week one, we could be out at least 3 spots with Judkins, Ayuk, and then also Jaden Reed if we don't know if he will play. ETN covers that from a flex, but theoretically, you don't necessarily want to have to start ETN as well. So it's a tough place to be in at the moment with the need to sort of chase the receivers.
I'm fine tossing out a $1 Cam Ward now whenever you're ready.
That is next on the docket. So I'll ask this because I don't think it really matters. Do you want Ward or Penix for $1? Do you care?
Oh, I guess
we have London.
Yeah, go. You know what? Go Penix just in case.
Okay, that's where I'm at too. I think actually
I'm going to go 2 on Penix. There are a lot of teams that don't. Let's see, 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks. That's us. 2 quarterbacks. Team 10. Was that us? Oh, okay, never mind. Hey, yeah, what I'm looking up in the first place didn't matter. Team 10, basically Team 10, 11, and 12 all only had 1 quarterback, and all could have went to 2 at that point. But yeah, I'm cool going with Penix. That's a-okay with me.
Okay,
that's right. That's right. Spots to fill. We're probably done on running backs unless something amazing comes along. Probably done on tight ends with 2 unless there's another super sleeper you're hiding. Probably done on quarterbacks with 2.
Well, I don't think we need 5 receivers. So like we could probably get 1 more running back, and just to make sure that we're playing truthful to the rest of the board. If we need to go tight end as well, or like if we need to go 1 more running back or whatever the receivers, I don't want to tell everyone we're locking into this. All right, we're going to just compile receivers after this, but we are certainly not in need of any more quarterbacks. That is absolutely.
Say, you want to do $1 Cam Ward anyway? I kind of like $1 Sean Tucker. That was a pretty good.
Yes, I'd agree. And there goes Cam Ward for $1 right now. No, I agree with you. That's probably a good spot to be. Yeah.
Let's see who else we might be looking at in dollar days.
All right. Tyler Algier for 3. Yeah, it's okay. Just okay right now, going through all this. Again, nearly 400 people watching right now. Thank you guys for tuning in to the online auction draft championship with the NFFC. We will have the recap of this, really, the auction draft strategy itself on the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. What you are seeing live right now on the screen is the auction format that we have on both the RotoWire software, on the website part of things, and available on the RotoWire app. Download the RotoWire Fantasy Football app. Just search anywhere in either one of the Play stores. If nothing else today, we got 400 people watching live. If all of you could throw a 5-star review on the app, we would be doing great. I know that it's been a push for us to maybe talk about this stuff too, but I think the product itself, the way we have these rankings set up, I think it's a really useful tool for everyone, right, Jake?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you're live syncing between devices for the first time ever. Even if you could buy on the app, you get the full access to the website and play. We have another video on our draft plan feature, which, you know what the heck? Let me just go ahead and show you that real quick here while we're waiting on these other teams to go on dollar days here. You can see a whole bunch of our items here. I'm just going to go default when starting this out. But the draft plan, which is available in the app as well, I'm doing this on desktop. I'm going to add a new draft plan. I mean, look at this. Setting your risk tolerance by round right here is something that you can do. You want to stick to ADP? Do you want to get your guys? You'll see in a second where you can mark targets. Look at all of these factors: consistency, schedule strength, injury risk, age, playoff schedule strength. And we had a question in our last video. It's fantasy playoffs, not NFL playoffs, guys. We got a clue here after 25 years in the business. But all these factors can go into play. You can set your targets. You can set players to avoid. And then you have other draft strategy things. Like if you want to wait on a specific position until a certain round, like wait on quarterbacks, for example, or script the early rounds, you know what you want to go with. I don't like to do that, but I see what the draft gives me, but you kind of see what you have available there. So that's just a quick run with the draft plan there. Yeah, live syncing, full website access, all of that's good to go here. Yeah, definitely go ahead and give it a look and get ready for your drafts.
Love it. Good breakdown here. We are nearing the end of the draft. Everyone more or less has $1 or $2 left. I tried to sneak in a Jake Ferguson. He goes for $3. That was the max bid. We had saw Dalton Kincaid go for $1 earlier. I would have loved Hollywood Brown here, who's maxed out at $2 as well. So being quick on the trigger with this stuff also matters as well too. And that ended up being team number 2 completely capping out. Team number 2 crushed it. I love that draft that they've done. We've been talking about that one plenty now at this point. I think they did an awesome job
so
with the draft itself.
And I mean, Dobbins isn't bad. Westbrook and Keenan always ends up doing something. Johnson, Hollywood. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, I like the receiver core and the Kyron Williams and possibly Jerome Ford being a stud there at the end. I can't get over this team 8. The rest of their draft, I think, went pretty good too. Their bench players, I like Tony Pollard for depth. Was another very good buy. Juwan Jennings, Goff is another core. I mean, getting Charbonnet at value. So, team 8 has really killed this draft. I think exceptional value with both Hurts, McCaffrey, Pollard at 12. So many hits here. Charbonnet as well. So I didn't quite understand the rookie Jacksonville guy, but not everyone's going to agree 1,000 there. But I think team 8 is actually still my favorite. They were early and they've continued to be successful here.
So I'll pose this question to you, Jake, because I think it's kind of interesting as we round up the end of this auction draft and the draft strategy itself. We're effectively maybe like 24 picks away from this being done. There are some people that have $1 or $2. Do you deliberately throw out $2? So in this case, we have $6. We have like 4 roster spots left, and we do have one heavy push $2 one. When do you choose to put the hammer down? Because if you do it sooner, you're going to be able to get your guy more or less, but you're also at the point of risking maybe having to push up another $2. Like it's trying to play out how aggressive you get.
Who can bid $2 at this point? Right. That's team 11. So I'd say in this case, it doesn't really matter because if he ends up bidding the one guy you want for $2,
right, he
can just get you at 3. I wouldn't nominate someone at $2. I would just wait to see if anyone comes up where a bell goes on here. And my guy Blue did go for a little more than $2, so that's not going to be possible at this stage. I did like that pick a lot. Caleb Johnson for 8 was nice too. Let me look at the rest of this team. You got a couple good quarterbacks, a good price. Henry Kamara, Amana was a good value. Connor Jones, some running back depth. I mean, spending maybe a little more on the bench than I like, but overall pretty good. I like that Romeo Doubs for $1. People sleeping on that a little bit. I might have gone to 2 on Spears, but I think that's what Team 11 was planning to do.
Yeah, we got Doubs for 1. So Spears goes for 2. Like Team 11 had talked about, they have one of the only other 2 options to go. That we might get stuck with the worst case scenario, Jake, where we end up going having $1 left. Like we weren't aggressive enough spending the $1, which is crazy to think about because we were not at that spot for certain portions of the draft.
Yeah, having $1 extra isn't the end of the world here, though. No. I mean, I got talking to the mic. Having $1 extra isn't the end. I could probably live with that. You don't want to be the guy with like $8 left. I'm trying to look through these dollar day players here to see if there's anybody that I kind of want to take a stab at here.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are off the board.
Yeah, let me know if there's somebody you want to be aggressive with, because we're at that point where it doesn't, or where we can kind of do whatever.
Yeah, not too many of these guys are coming up. Did Rico Dowdle go yet? Just in case.
He did not, but yeah, we don't need it. We don't know. We need to go 2 on him.
And Bigsby already went. Jalen McMillan, maybe?
Yeah, Dowdle just went for 1 there. I don't think we need Jalen McMillan because we have, I think, 5 receivers now, right? 6? I know that some aren't going to play right away.
Just 5.
Just 5? Okay.
3 starters and 1 that might not make it to week 1. Well, the problem is that out of those 5, 2 of them could very well not make it to week 1. One of them is probably not making it until week 6. All right, Torrey Horton, tell me about this guy.
Yeah. So I wasn't necessarily happy that we had to do the +1 bump there, but rookie receiver for the Seahawks. I'm relatively convinced that this is not a very good offense. So I'm not going to sell you very well, Jake, on this. But if the idea is Cooper Kupp gets injured often and that Sam Darnold ends up being okay, the offensive line ends up being okay, Torrey Horton is a better version of MVS in terms of speed and size and possibly can catch, and has had easily one of the best preseasons thus far. Deontay Thornton's probably the biggest riser among all rookie receivers that weren't the obvious ones for the Raiders. But on the outside,
7 targets.
yeah, and looked really good. Also, has just been looking really good from a training camp perspective. So I'm buying the hype a little bit, not because I think I like Horton necessarily, but more so I think the Seahawks offense almost necessitates or needs Horton to be something. So,
funny enough, I see right here that he is rostered all over the place, because these right here are the my leagues that I've imported into the RotoWire website here. This draft just started in a couple rounds here. This is a very shallow one, but Thorne has him in the Superflex one we did in Madison.
Seahawks
Kurt
fan.
has him in Dynasty. He's taken in Power Source, and KOB rosters him in our other staff dynasty. So, yeah, he's somebody that in a league this deep here, like the NFFC. Oh, and did we end up with $1 Kyle Pitts?
Yes, we did.
I don't mind that at all. I know he's poisoned everybody, but for $1, we have literally no intention of having to start him. We just can wait and see if it breaks out. I'm surprised.
So that was when there was one person that had $2, but otherwise they're just like all more or less at that spot. And it cost us getting $1 Rashad White. I think in certain builds you much rather have a $1 Rashad White, even though I agree with you. I like Sean Tucker. I think Rashad White can get traded to the Cowboys or something like that and actually be a really good spot. But we're at that point where we kind of have to now balance when we're nominating people, because everyone has $1 and therefore we're jumping ahead of certain people getting these guys. And this becomes just a draft scenario. So I think I'll ask you this. We have 15 seconds. Wan'Dale Robinson, or would you have a Pat Bryant rookie for the Broncos who's been okay in camp so far?
Wan'Dale, I guess it's full PPR.
Do you want Trey Harris instead? That would be the question.
I throw a dart at this point. I don't really have a strong lean. I guess Wan'Dale, I'll take the established guy. Actually, you know what? Throw a rookie. We're not starting these guys anytime soon anyway.
Well, I put Wan'Dale because we ran out of time, but we'll see if Trey Harris. I don't think Trey Harris comes back. He's at the very top of the queue. For what it's worth, I cover the Chargers for RotoWire. We have seen there's a reason Keenan Allen signed with the Chargers. I think whether it be Jalen Reagor or Keandre Lambert-Smith or Trey Harris, that there has not been a receiver outside of Lab McConkey that's sort of been the established player, and I think Keenan Allen falls right into line, and that's with Quentin Johnson also being a factor too. So I'm not really attracted to Trey Harris in that regard, and I think it's going to be totally fine that we miss out on him, truthfully.
Blake Corum, yep, he is $1.
Yeah, he went for, I was going to say, I thought it was $2. So you went for $1, you said?
Shipley went for $2. Blake Corum went for $1.
Okay, let's see. The last few selections here. I feel really, really good about our running back depth. Even if Quinshon Judkins ends up being a cut, we got him for $1, doesn't matter. What we end up sacrificing is getting more of the established receivers. But like you said, Jake, your superpower is getting the most obscure guy to get a touchdown and get a decent amount of points if we have to have the spot start. So I am counting on you to get this correct.
If Jaden Reed ends up healthy for week 1, then we might not even have to worry about that. So, but I will use the superpower to help hopefully at one point this year.
Because we're going to need it. we are going to need it. That is for sure.
Yeah, especially when week 5 comes around and we've got 3 of those receivers on bye, 3 of those possible starters on bye. So
yeah, Dobbs, Reed, and then Drake London. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. Here goes Trey Harris off the board. Yeah, that'll be tough. Not ideal, especially early in the season with it all. But yes, that's not a great spot to be in.
Any backup running back in Vegas worth any look for the dollar?
Yeah, that's the reason why I like Genty, because the answer is no. It's just literally like it's absolutely. I don't want Raheem Mostert.
I want to see what. And this is fun because our listeners can see what my thought process is and what I'm looking out leading up to these picks. I mean, would you take Mostert for $1 just in case?
No, I end up going Diami Brown, which I actually feel really, really good about to assure our receiver depth. And
Diami Brown? Oh, yeah.
Yep. which is the replacement for Travis Hunter when Hunter's not playing offensive snaps. So it's really a bet against, do you think Travis Hunter plays offensive snaps a lot? We've had this conversation in the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. We don't think Travis Hunter can do that, much like Devontae Adams said earlier in a interview, where it would be really tough to just be a defensive player and really good one, and then also a really good offensive player. So we'll kind of have to go through maybe the process of the Jags receiving core as the season progresses. But I think Diami Brown's a completely fine, effectively last round selection. So,
and as we're your child's namesake there, we got 4 picks left here. We got 4 picks left here coming up, but overall, yeah, this is what the roster is looking like. I'm gonna screen grab this.
Yeah, we filled out our team. We're done.
Yes, we are all set to go. I'm gonna screen grab. Oh, it's not letting me. What are my buttons here? Is it not letting me screen grab? Hang on. Whatever. I'll find a way to do this when this is done. If you want to send me the full roster from the NFFC website afterwards, that would be correct. Actually, you know what? I know what's happening. I unplugged my keyboard to the microphone.
That'll happen. Well, let's see. With the 2 picks left to go, that does it for us here on this not edition. I mean, a surprise edition of Jake and Joe, at least from a live stream perspective, but going over the NFFC Fantasy Football Auction Draft, the NFFC Online Auction. You guys can go ahead and do these. It's a $150 entry. There are higher ones as well, too, which maybe Jake and I will graduate to at some point. We can rub elbows enough with Greg Ambrosius and company at the NFFC where they'll let us do one of the prime times.
Go ahead and win this one and then prove we're worthy, right?
Then we have the bankroll to go ahead and participate in some of these. But
yeah, speaking of Jake and Joe after dark, let's go.
Exactly. But I think we can call it here now with the last few picks off the board. Appreciate you all listening and watching along for the last 2 hours. Again, you can follow me at Twitter, JB Fantasy Sports. You can follow Jake at RotoJake. More importantly, please download the RotoWire Football app. If nothing else, leave a 5-star review. Tell us how handsome Jake is. That'd be great as well. You can see the software out there at the moment. And we'll be doing more of the auction recap of this draft and more to come on the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast come Monday. So make sure to check that out anywhere you listen to podcasts. Appreciate you all listening along, and we'll be talking again Monday.
Thanks again, everyone.